everyone to episode 155 of the HurricaneKaz podcast. I'm joined by our usual Coriander The Clown, Anicor, but we got a special guest to the circus today. We got HurricaneKaz joining us. And I said it before, Anicor, if more people can see you on these recordings as a guest, the better. And we're making it happen today. Welcome in, Kaz. How are you doing?
Hello. Thank you for the very warm welcome to the circus. I'm doing great. It's getting pretty warm here in the southeastern United States, but I'm staying cool inside today with my Articuno. Hi, buddy.
Yeah, no, for sure. We were talking about this before Anicor came on, but Kaz, avid bird fan, and Articuno is
Yes.
definitely one. Articuno is actually, fun fact, the first legend Pokemon that was accidentally dropped in Pokemon Go.
Accidentally?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you might have not been playing time. I don't know, but it was like within a year of the game coming out. But it was some random guy, I think, accidentally caught. I don't know what the glitch was, but accidentally caught an Articuno. I think I forgot exactly how it happened.
Yeah, I don't remember how it happened, but I do remember the myths and legends.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that's sounding like you know the person who got the Mew underneath the truck. Yeah, that's like a real life version of that.
The Mew underneath the truck? What do you mean?
In the original games.
Yeah.
You can't.
It was like a playground rumor, innit? Yeah. But this guy was just like, "Yo, I caught an Articuno," and nobody believed him.
Yeah, exactly.
we're all in our 20s now. Yeah, you can drop it.
Yeah. Well, so I think he posted about it, of course, right? Because he's got to brag about it. I forgot I was on Reddit, Twitter, or whatever, or Facebook. Mm-hmm. But once NAIC found out, and this is like the only case of it that I'm aware of, they like changed it to like a Pidgeot or something.
Oh, yeah.
Until Articuno came out.
It was just some crazy glitch, but yeah, it is very reminiscent of like kids on the playground in the late 90s talking about like, did you hear about the guy who got the Mew? Like the kid who got the Mew? Because it wasn't supposed to be in the original games. Like it was an accident, and then they didn't actually add it to the game for everyone until later.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
Another fun fact too, again, I don't think you were around for this, but they accidentally gave Galarian Lanoon the same moveset as regular Lanoon. Like you were able to learn it. It was what was it? I think you had like evolve it during like a spotlight hour or something. It was something really odd.
Yeah.
It was like it wasn't even like a Zigzagoon spotlight hour. It was like really weird, I think. It was like
I think it was like it just came out, the Galarian version.
Yeah,
but then
the Galarian versions had just debuted.
Yeah. And you had to evolve it by a certain time, though. I think it was some spotlight hour or something. I can't remember. Yeah, because I remember by the time people found out, like Europe and stuff, it was like already over. Or like I think like East Coast, like US, like North America was when people started really catching on. And some people forgot that too. So I know some people like, yo, my friend in California, please evolve this. Or like if they really got homies in Hawaii, right? That was like your last chance to evolve it. And then
I remember getting so many Discord notifications of people being like, evolve, like
yeah.
Like, drop everything.
Yep. Because you wanted like, I mean, Galarian Lanoon with like Shadow Claw and like Thunder and Body Slam.
Shadow Claw Body Slam, innit? Yeah.
So it already learns Body Slam, but the regular one learns Grass Knots, Thunder, and Dig, which Dig
the
was
regular
bad before, but now it's not bad. Yeah,
good now. Yeah, I remember the original Lanoon did not have Body Slam. It was it's Thunder, Grass Knot, and Dig, but you never really had Dig on it at that time.
And it has Shadow Claw too, but the Galarian one only had Snarl. And Shadow Claw is obviously a little better, even without Stab. So everyone was going for like some like Shadow Claw, Body Slam, Thunder, and like Body Slam, Grass Knot combinations and stuff. And then NAIC reverted all that. They just like changed it. I think they refunded people Dust or CMs, but I don't know. I couldn't really tell.
We can never have nice
things. Rumor about that one where like someone was like, "Oh yeah, I traded it while it still had Shadow Claw." And then the traded version still had Shadow Claw. Yeah. So when they did the wrong thing for Primeape as well, I tried to do the same thing.
No. So to my knowledge, even if you traded it, like it got reverted except for one. Apparently there's rumors of one of them still being around, and it's possible that this person has like multiple, like like one with Grass Knot, one with Thunder, Body Slam, all that stuff. But there's rumors that there's at least one still out there, and there's footage of it. Like they'll use it in like a cup or something like that's like recent, so you know that's not real. But I actually don't even know what they use in GBL. I think they only use in friendly battles, but they haven't revealed their username because they don't want to take it away, right? Because imagine like you face like even like a like small name person that's running this moveset in GBL, then they're gonna take screenshots of the person.
Yeah,
like, wait, hold on, right? So, but I know someone that knows someone. I don't know who it is, but someone I know says like, yeah, I've seen it myself in friendly battles, and they just don't want to come clean with like who it is because they want to keep
One
it.
day,
I
like
rate
40
them because
years
they
from
make a
now,
good
there's going to
mafia
be like a
boss.
whole book of all the legends,
Yeah.
all the
Dude,
mysteries.
if I was that person, I would just like, nah, it's probably not worth it. I was gonna say I would just like bring it to a tournament one day, just to, like you can't even register on Arcanine because it's not even like eligible. So like you just get DQ'd off the bat, but like that in itself would be like a flex, I think. But
yeah, this person's moving like mafia, and I rate it. Yeah, because they will maintain this Laloon for life. Yeah, everyone else is out there like flexing, and it's just gonna get patched.
That's how I felt when I had a Dragon Breath Gyarados for Sylph back in the day, because that you couldn't even get that like TM'd. It was like super legacy hard to get, and I just brought it into a cup. It wasn't even that good, but I was just like, I just brought it to show it off. They're like, what? I played one of my current teammates' previous locals, Chaotic Ace, but I was scrimming him, and I asked him for some scrims for this cup. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll do some scrims, and I brought it. And like the moment I brought it, he just types like, "I hate you," right? Because he was like looking for this himself too. I was like, "This Gyarados wasn't even good into your team. I just wanted to show it." But anyway,
just a flex.
Yeah, just a flex. For those that don't know who HurricaneKaz is, tell us a little about yourself, Kaz. I've known Kaz for I don't know how many years, since 2019, right?
Yeah, I think the first time we met was at a Sylph Cup hosted here in person in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I don't know
Did
if
you
that
play
was like
season 1?
a little bit, but I didn't really know about the in-person tournaments yet. So I wasn't going to the ones in Atlanta. I was doing that thing because I started playing the game when it came out in 2016. I lived in Savannah, Georgia at the time.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Atlanta, and battling started, I was still friends with all the Savannah people. So I was doing that thing, where we had to be friends for 30 days. You had to be ultra friends so you could invite each other to battles.
Yeah.
In ye olden times. And so I was just doing like virtual tournaments at the time before they became, really popular during COVID.
Okay.
I was just doing virtual tournaments with those people. I didn't find out that there was like an in-person Atlanta scene until much later. And I think I met you at like, I want to say
Sinister Cup is my first memory of you, but I'm not sure if it was before that.
I no, I think that sounds right.
It was at that gaming bar and stuff.
Yes. I don't
service.
oh my god, such terrible service.
Yeah.
And once I found out about the in-person Atlanta scene, like, yeah, I had so much fun, like going to the tournaments and meeting all the other people who actually liked battling. Because most of the people that I became friends with in the game, they're all like casual players and they only barely tolerate me talking about all the tournaments and stuff. So it was really nice to meet you and others that were so invested in person. And I've been, playing the game exclusively for battling like ever since. And yes, bird Pokemon are my favorite. I'm really glad that they're getting so many buffs lately. So many new fly users, so many wing attack users. So that's like my favorite thing to do is to try and use birds as much as I can. And the last in-person like play Pokemon tournament I did was the first time I got on to be on stream and I got to use Mandibuzz. So I was like, yes, birds forever.
Oh yeah, I think I commentated that one too.
Yes.
Yeah. It was Knoxville, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a cool time too.
Yeah.
Were you a big Pokemon person prior to Pokemon Go?
Oh yeah. I've been playing games, the Pokemon games since they came to the United States. Like I had a lime green Game Boy Color that I played blue on. My brother got red and I got blue because I thought Blastoise looked sick. And I've been playing every single game, like console game, ever since that very first one. So
you haven't skipped any of them?
No.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you know more about Pokemon than us, I guess.
I have not actually, like, I have not been super invested in the ones on the Switch, except for Arceus, which is not technically a mainline game, but but it was so fun. It was like the most fun that I've had playing a Pokemon game in a really, really long time, because they were exploring the new open world format, and you got to run around and like change your outfit and see your Pokemon like running all around the world all around you. It was so cool. Also, I'm a huge fan of Pokemon Snap. The new Pokemon Snap games.
Played the original Pokemon Snap so much. I have the new one. I still haven't unboxed it yet. The new one.
Oh my god,
it came out
you
like
need
2 years ago.
It's so good.
Because everyone was hype about it, and I was going to stream it, and I think I just like got busy. And then by the time I was free to play it, like everyone was just like done with it and playing like Arceus or something else.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a very long game, but it is really cool. Like I don't know. There's just something very relaxing about being on a roller coaster almost. Like you're not in control of where you're going. You're just like, yes, living my wildlife photographer dreams.
Wait, I don't know about you. I'm stressed when I played it as a kid, at least the original, because I'm just like I gotta take like 1,000 like pictures, right? Like of this Charizard.
Well, yeah, if you wanna do all the quests and get all the secrets or whatever. but I mean, it can be, especially this new one. There's so many Pokemon now. You know, and the graphics have gotten obviously so much better. So for me, it was kind of just very relaxing. I had a friend here in Atlanta where we used to get together, where we would always, one of us would go and pick up boba tea, and then they'd come over to the other one's house, and we'd play the same levels like together and figure out secrets and tips and tricks like together. So it was a very fun time, very chill way to experience Pokemon compared to normally when I'm like sitting on the couch playing GBL like, ah.
That's fair. GBL is not very relaxing, so that's
out of interest. Yeah, is there like Pokemon Snap, like YouTube, and Pokemon Snap influencers? Because it like strikes me as the kind of game that could have that.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is. In order to like we were saying, like to find out all the secrets and all the tips and tricks and everything, like we would watch Austin John Plays. You know,
he plays all the Pokemon games.
Yeah, he plays every single game. He knows everything about Pokemon ever. But he would have like very detailed breakdowns of like everything you need to do in each level to do like absolutely 100%. So I know there's a lot of people out there playing, but I'm not sure if there's like a scene or a vibe for it. I do think it could be cool though. Like kind of like slow TV, you know? Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah, because I was thinking like it would make nice like, oh, I'm about to go to bed. Let me just bang on a Pokemon Snap YouTube video.
Yeah, it's kind of like ASMR for Pokemon people, I guess. Like, and now we're gonna look over to the. It's like David, and you could do it like David Attenborough. It's like now we look over to the right, and there's the Snorlax slowly emerging. So yeah, I'm sure there's like a vibe for it. It's just you gotta have the right person, the right voice, and everything.
Maybe it's me.
I don't know, man. When you did the ASMR stream with me, everyone hated it. You know, I don't know if it's the voice or like this is not the crowd for it.
Admittedly, it was due to the whispering, but
you gotta get like you gotta get much closer to the mic and like.
You're right. One sec.
Slow your voice down.
Look, I know.
So if it's like a low whisper, then it might actually have a bit more appeal. I recognize that the last time there was a bit too much high end, and so it could have been considered a bit grating to the ears, but I think this one's the bang.
You know something? There's a market for this actually, Anicor. That just
I know.
I've seen Clown ASMR, right? Yeah, I've never seen Clown ASMR in my life.
Bro, I bet you if you Google it.
Usually the person doing ASMR
I don't think that's something you should Google. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like,
you have a little like little honky horn, like once in a while you squeak.
I'm sure there's a market for everything.
Yeah. After like 100 episodes, I'm sure you'll get real quick at the makeup. It'll be seamless.
I reckon the makeup could be a part of the video as well.
It's true. Yeah, that's part of it. The sounds of like the brush bristles and everything.
I'll be very honest. I used to watch makeup ASMR. So I actually know a tiny bit about makeup because of that.
Today we're going to draw a yellow diamond on the cheek.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You already have the wig and the nose. It's perfect. You've already started the initial investment. You have the bow tie and everything. It's
So everyone, if you see me elsewhere, yeah, you know that the business is going well.
Yeah. And then you could even make a whole outfit thing, right? You could be like lacing the giant red shoes, right? As it put the mic near the shoelaces.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
You're saying it as if it's a joke, but this is real.
No, I'm sure it's very real for a lot of people.
Get started. I know you want to do ASMR for a while. You just couldn't really figure out your niche, and
all right, everyone who's interested in clown ASMR, just drop a comment.
No. I don't think our audience is your audience, but maybe I could be mistaken. But you could make it big one day.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then maybe on Pokemon, you know how they have Pokemon Day every year, right? On that day, instead of clown, you could dress up as Persephone, right? To really fit the theme.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, look, I gotta get some value out of this outfit, man.
Yeah. No,
ridiculous.
Anyway. But going back to Kaz as well, I know so you play a lot of grassroots, obviously, back as early as the Sylph days. And actually I played HurricaneKaz in, was this season 2? I think it was season 2 of Sylph regionals, because everything was remote at that point. And we faced off, and she beat me too.
Yeah.
I needed to win that to have.
So it was the Lanoon. The original Lanoon that was my super secret weapon against you. I have like very visceral memories of that, and it's like,
oh yeah,
I think about it and sometimes, and I'm like,
yeah. She
remember
beat my
that time
with it.
Yeah, because the Shadow Claw, it's just super effective against Deoxys, and the counters like don't add up fast enough. And plus, like Grass Knot and Thunder are just really good, moves.
Yeah, it had super good. It was like super safe as a swap. It's actually funny because all these names actually Anicor. So it was obviously the Atlanta locals, and it was between. I lost round 1 against Ramblin' Man, actually, who I saw this past weekend, and I see what shared it may be, but also Atlanta local. I lost that, and I just like won all the rounds after. I think it was like a 6-rounder, so I was like 4. I think I was 4-1 going into this final round. Oh no, I think I was like 3-1 or something, because there's still 2 rounds left, and I faced Kaz in round 5, and at that point in time, I think everyone lost 1 game except for Adib. Adib was the only one undefeated at the time, right? See, like I said, familiar names. And Polly was also playing it too. I think he was also 3-1. So I think I
think I lost to Polly earlier.
Yeah,
like that was my loss before I was faced up against you.
Yeah, it was me, you, and Polly were all 3-1. And I think based on tiebreakers, if I won against you, because I think they went based off like global rank or something, I would face Adib. But if I lost and you won and Polly won, then Polly would face Adib. But what happened was actually I lost to Kaz, and then Polly lost, so it was actually Kaz that faced Adib.
Yeah.
and she was the one that. So yeah, she had the chance to force like a multi-way tiebreaker, right? But Adib ended up winning that one. I think. It was,
couldn't stop him, because tragically I was using, I think it was a snowy cast form, and I had not used it in any of my battles yet, even though it was on my team, and I had forgot to TM it so that it had Weather Ball instead. So it just had Ice Beam Blizzard, and I could not pace. I could not pace against Adib with that move set. So I was just like, well, this has been fun.
Yeah. Oh no, I do remember. I remember what happened now. It was me versus Kaz in that 5th round, and it was a 6-round tournament, and it was Polly versus Adib. That's what it was. And Polly was, I think they were both undefeated. So Polly versus they were both undefeated. So out of me and Kaz at one, we would face the winner, the undefeated person. And so Polly ended up losing to Adib because like I think he got like was it Leaf Tornado? I think it was the Leaf Tornado debuff that got Polly or something. I remember.
Yeah, because Adib was using Superior.
Yeah, and that's what got him.
Yeah.
If I look back at my DMs, Polly was heated. Not at Adib, just at the RNG, right? And he was so heated that he started GBLing before round 6 started, and the opponent's like, hey, are you ready? And he didn't like see the message for like 10 minutes because he was just like so heated, just GBLing and forgot about it.
Let me just get out of this.
Yeah. And then funny enough, the following year, I think by then, no, it must have been, yeah, I think the following year, because at that point I moved to LA, so I wasn't playing in that tournament, and it was Kaz against Poly. I don't know what round it was, but I think whoever won that one qualified for Continentals. Or no, it was maybe round one. I don't even know. It was some point, but they were in a Pel Premier, and he got one shot by a hurricane from Kaz, which 2 shields up, and then Adib was like roasting Polly, and he's like, Polly, what are you doing? Like, her name is HurricaneKaz. Of course, she's going to throw the hurricane. Yeah.
In the name. I remember they showed me that chat later.
Yeah.
Like, it's
so
literally in her name. Why would you not shield?
Oh man, it was like game 3 too. He needed to shield
so funny.
it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, at that point in that game, I remember that too. My logic was like, I'm not gonna. Pelipper had basically done its job because it had KO'd something, I think a Drapion like right before or something. And so I was like, well, Pelipper's done its job. I'm not like gonna shield anything he throws at it. So I might as well like use all this energy. Because he'll probably shield, and then at least I'll have shield advantage or even shields or something like that. But he just didn't shield, and I was like, okay,
we'll take it.
This has been fun. Yeah. But yeah, it was really funny and just another moment for birds to shine.
That's right. Yeah. No, definitely. And to use the namesake move as well.
Yeah. That is fun. When Pelipper was like had its day in the meta, which was like coincided with that tournament. You know, I really enjoyed using it like in general in GBL. And I remember not this most recent season that we're kind of still in for Play Pokemon, but last season I remember I brought Pelipper onto my team in Charlotte and Knoxville, and it did so well, you know, because it was just, if you could avoid Lantern, it was just so versatile.
Right.
And it's a really good Pokemon. So so any chance I get to use the like namesake, great.
Yeah, I thought Pelipper was going to be super meta relevant after it got Wing Attack initially. This is before Chargebug was even released, but it was Lantern that really held it back, unfortunately. And then you know, Lantern's, it's still around somehow right now, but we'll talk more about that as we get into NAIC. But obviously, I know you play a lot of factions now. Battle Frontier. You're the captain of Queen Bees, right?
Yes, I am. So we're still going into season 3. I think we're still down in open because like the second cycle was our first, just like it was Cool Cat's first as well.
Right.
So we were still kind of like, we got a lot of new members, and we still had like a lot like to get back into the swing of things. So hopefully and we've got even more new members for next cycle, but we're excited about it, and we're really glad that it's that a team, you know, battling function is like back in the game, because it's a really fun way to play when you can actually interact with other people, because like tournaments and everything can sometimes feel really isolating, because as much as you can scrim with other people and practice with other people and talk to trainers at the tournament and everything, you're kind of like doing a lot of team building, you know, doing a lot of thinking yourself. But with this Battle Frontier, now you can actually talk to your teammates, you know, you can do battles live while your teammates are watching and get advice and everything. So it's really fun way to interact in the game, and it, you know, makes the competition you know, really interesting.
Yeah, most definitely. And team, and like especially with your friends as well too, and there's a lot that goes to it. I remember when we faced you this past cycle too, it was super close. It was like 1-2s or 2-1s all the way throughout, and it was like our first week too, so it was particularly stressful.
The very first. So yeah, it was definitely a very stressful week, but we had a lot of fun battling you guys, and all the battles were so close, because I try and make myself available, especially with so many new members. Like I was saying, I tried to make myself available to like be on Discord calls for everybody as much as possible. And so watching all those battles, I was just like sitting there like, oh my god.
It's best stressful as captain, isn't it? Like
A
It feels like
little bit.
Sometimes I
everyone's
just don't have
matches
the
like
time or energy to watch them, but
Yeah.
it's always nice to come back and see a bunch of like 3-0s and stuff if it
Yes.
happens. Because sometimes I see a bunch of 0-3s, I'm like, what happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, there's
It's
nothing I could have done. I was like, really? I was like, I need to be on this call to see next time.
prove it.
Yeah,
Prove
because
that there was
Polly's
nothing you could
gone
have
0-15 before, like five straight games of 0-3s. Not with us. No, that's more than 5, right? What is that? It's like
that's 5, isn't it?
Oh, it's 5.
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I was like doubting my math there. It wasn't with us. It was with Gym Breakers, but I was just like, I wasn't the captain of that team. But at a certain point, I would be like, they really didn't have anyone else on the bench to throw in. Or
Gym Breakers is even more wild because like you can do all sorts of things like changing your team and move sets like in between rounds and everything, based on your opponents and their history. So that's even more flexible. I've only commented on it, like casted the Gym Breakers matches. I've never been on a team, but even casting, I'm just like, oh my god, the way everyone can just shift everything can be so flummoxing sometimes.
Definitely. Yeah. And so I was going to ask about that too, because you've done some commentary stuff as well. I've seen Gym Breaker stuff and then probably some Team Rocket PP stuff, at least back in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
I've done a lot of Gym Breakers because working with AJ and Fish and everybody is always such a blast. And I had a really nice opportunity to do the GBLA last season, which was really with Rise, which was really fun. And casting is another great way to just like experience the game and for me to like learn a lot. Just seeing the way different people battle and watching so many of them and how close it can be is really entertaining, but also like really informative.
Yeah. I think I definitely learned a lot as casting too. I think like just like knowing the damage values is pretty important. I mean, I was talking to some people over the weekend. I was just like, it was Polly in particular. I was like, I think like there's a lot that I'm not saying like he plays perfectly, but there's definitely some things he could work on as well. And I was like, yeah, one of the things I noticed really about your gameplay is like maybe not recognizing the damage values. Because we'll be watching like a stream to like the broadcast together and be like, oh, he's like, oh, this definitely takes it out. I was like, no, I think it survives with like 2 bubbles to go, right? And it always like, and you'll always be a little bit off on that. But I was just like, I think part of that is also because I see all these matchups behind the screen a lot, even if I'm commentating. So I recognize how much is enough to take out. Whereas if you don't see that as often, it's harder. So I think commentary definitely helps people learn some
because when you're doing your own battles like in GBL or in grassroots or even in the tournaments, it can be hard to keep track of that in a way that you remember it for later. But I think with casting in particular, you're really sitting there, you're really watching what's happening. So I think I personally, and like you were saying, are able to kind of absorb that information a little bit better. And it always varies a little bit, like based on different people's stats. And sometimes some people want something that's more HP weighted over attack weighted. All that sort of thing can have a really big difference actually in what can survive and what can't. So really being tuned in, I think, helps out a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe we'll see some more commentary stuff from you in the future too. I know Anicor's hosting some like APC stuff and other stuff that he needs commentary for. So,
well, I'm actually joining the Dragon's Den podcast as one of their commentators for the EU Battle Frontier players, so that because the Dragon's Den originally they just cover the NA region primarily, but now that Battle Frontier has opened up to like worldwide and hosting, each region has its own bracket, they really wanted to make sure that each region was getting its own love. So I agreed to talk about the EU circuit. So I'm really excited to talk about the European battlers and what teams over there are doing with the metas.
Nice. That'll be interesting too. And it's a great way to like learn about different players too. That's how I see Anicor knows so many of these APAC players as well, just from hosting and stuff. And so sometimes he overhypes them based on what he knows, but
but do you know what? Do you know what's mad, isn't it? Yeah, this guy's talking about overhyping, isn't it? Yeah, just watch it to Worlds. I swear down, you know one thing I've been clocking over the last month.
What?
I will say something, and it will just come true. Yeah. Meanwhile, this guy's
wait. We need to revisit. We need to revisit this when we talk about NAIC because you had some predictions last week,
and you know what? I got 2 of them right. I think, if I remember correctly,
2 out of 20, maybe. Yeah,
I think I got a decent amount right.
I listened to the last.
Where's the scoreboard? Where's the whiteboard?
Oh, there is a general scoreboard for bets, but
we don't have a predictions one.
But
I think if we did,
I wouldn't say my predictions were right either because there's a lot of upsets. But we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about NAIC. I was talking more so about your Typhlosion prediction, but
that was a bit of a flop. But I reckon, you know what? With that, players didn't have enough time to try it out.
No, don't do that. Gudra literally got buff, right? Like no, like that's
Gudra got buff afterwards.
No, I'm saying like it's not going to get any better for Typhlosion by Worlds, right? Is my thing.
No, but like people weren't bringing it. That was the point I was making. Yeah. So there wasn't enough, you know.
I think everyone was a little too nervous about bringing like such a new Pokemon, you know, like
it's a difficult one to bring. For Alligator, people have had a whole month or like a whole 3 months of trying to make it work. I think and then also, you know, I mean, look, if you look at the development of Feraligatr, I'd say one of the most important developments was Pocket using non-shadow to just be like, everyone's been focusing on the shadow, but actually the non-shadow is probably like maybe more viable or just like enough, you know.
What did Scaffold use at UIC? It was Shadow.
He used Shadow, Okay. So obviously he had a good run at UIC, but I think the non-Shadow has a lot of good points pertaining to it. Do you know what I mean? And it's still like a neutral Pokemon. It still has good matchups, you know. I don't know. I think Typhlosion's still to see its day. Yeah, and I think it could be in this meta still. I don't think it's necessarily a bad environment for it. That's my opinion.
We shall see on that. But we're happy to have Kaz join us for this episode. We'll do kind of our usual shindig as well. It kind of came in clutch too because I'm like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of like losing my voice because I might have been screaming a little bit too loud in the spectator area over the weekend, but for good reason. We'll talk about that. But let's dive into some YouTube comments first. Before we go into NAIC and stuff. And this is from last episode. We have Bish Lasagna. Lasagna with 2 S's, which now makes sense. Say, I face the same
lasagna with 2 S's. That doesn't. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah. Clever play on words on what it spells out. Bish says, I face the same problems with the card stores in Malmo and Copenhagen. I guess getting them to host locals or go. Explain to him all you had to do is let us play here, and it's going to take a maximum of 2 hours. All 4 stores I chatted with think I'm crazy or I'm joking. Sad, truly sad, considering they host VGC and TCG. See, that's the weird part too, because if they host VGC as well, like, what's the issue with?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what's the hang up?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. I think this is the thing. I think we need to figure out if there's something. Like, we need to figure out the language of the card store owners. So if there is something within the Play Pokemon, you know, program or scheme or whatever that means they benefit from hosting Go tournaments, then we need to start like communicating that to them, you know, because I guess as it stands, they just like, well, we don't really know much about it. And
yeah, I mean, I think it's tough too because I feel like it also varies from store owner to store owner. Because I talked to one near where I'm at, and they were like super open to it. But they were also at the same time they're also a newer store, so they just want people to come, and they were struggling to get even Pokemon players to come for TCG. So I was like, yeah, like, you know, a lot of our players play TCG, but some of them might collect cards and might buy some stuff, and just knowing about your store, and we'll try to get like, because they struggle to get even like every time they try to host TCG tournament, there's not enough, and they had to cancel a tournament, or like, I could get you like 10 plus people every single time we host a tournament if you wanted to do it, right? And they were really open to it, but I think it was just like a personal preference of the owner, right? I don't know how it is for you all in kind of Atlanta, Georgia, but
we kind of suffer from Atlanta is spread out. Like it covers the metro area is really big. So the problem that I have is there do seem to be a lot of local tournaments going on, but they're not always accessible for like the whole area, you know, because like if you don't have a reliable car, you know, our public transit system doesn't, you know, there are a lot of gaps. and it can be hard to use if you don't have like a ride from, even if you take the train up that far, like a ride from the train station, it can be difficult to find. And I think because most of the ones I know about happen about 30 to 45-minute drive from where I live, in the midtown sort of central Atlanta area, which can be difficult to kind of do on a weekend. It's like, oh, I already made other plans, or like, I know it's going to be an hour and a half travel time at least, and then I'm going to be at the tournament for who knows how many hours. So there are a lot of like little logistical things like that I think add up for a lot of people in Atlanta. I've talked a lot with locals about we kind of need somewhere, or multiple other locations that are kind of inside the main like perimeter area, that are a little more accessible to like the city, as opposed to kind of the more outskirts of the metro area. But I know there's a big local scene still. It's just a matter of, can you get there?
Yeah.
Which I would say there are a decent amount of people who can. And I mean, North Georgia is actually, it's a pretty populated, like densely populated area. So there are a lot of people that come into those tournaments from further out, like even further drives, because they don't have them where they are, up in Rome, or even farther north in Georgia. So you'll have people that this is, the only accessible area that they can, and they will drive however long they need to get to those local tournaments, especially with this season, the points, accumulation being so important. A lot more people making that effort to get involved in their local scene. But I still think we could have more, stores in general. But like you guys were saying, it's kind of difficult sometimes, even if you have a store that's accessible, um, getting an owner that's even interested in hosting other tournaments other than Go.
Right.
Finding people who are like the professors who are qualified to observe the tournaments and make sure they run smoothly and everything. Like that's another hurdle I think that a lot of cities and areas have experienced this season.
Yeah, I think it's also like maybe also slightly cultural too in terms of how willing people are to go to certain places. Like I think like back when I lived in Atlanta, I didn't even want to drive 20 minutes to visit a friend.
Yeah,
Like it just felt too long. But like
because
once you're
the
in
traffic
LA,
is
yeah.
miserable.
But then once I moved to LA, I was like, oh, man, like even an hour drive, like that's about standard, right? Like I'll make the trip even for like a
Yeah.
cup, like a 4-person cup or something. So um but again, that's like it's part every region has different preferences there. So we'll see. Hopefully this, of course, this is our first season of doing it, but hopefully it gets a little bit easier as the years go on. Because I don't think locals are going away, and personally, I think that's a good thing because I really enjoy the locals. Whether you like the point distribution or whatever, that's a whole different story. But I think the local tournaments for the championship series is really, really like
Oh yeah.
good for the ecosystem and helping build, get more players to go out to regionals and
Yeah.
internationals.
And it's just really good to foster like community, for the way you want to play the game. Because certainly there's always, community day meetups, or like, GoFest global meetups and stuff like that. So it's nice for the people who love PvP and want to keep advancing it in the Play Pokemon circuit to have a way to meet and talk about it as well. And it's also just nice to practice, a nice way to have practice. Because sometimes, even if people want to compete, they don't have a very accessible way to get into it. Because hopping into GBL is like not helpful. So
That's right.
having a meeting place where you can go and like talk to other people and like about your team and see what the usage data is like, is also invaluable for getting new people to play this game. I mean, every season of Play Pokemon that we, Go has been involved so far has only gotten like more and more organized and better and better at fostering that like community of players. Which is great. So yeah, I definitely don't want locals to go anywhere, even if they're not super accessible for everyone just yet. I only think there's like an upward trajectory to that.
Yeah, hopefully so. Ryan Cogrove, so this is in response to some stuff we talked about from last episode regarding, I think, like seating and stuff in Swiss Swiss Earth double elim. So I'll clarify a few things from my comments under the last episode because I do remember we were a little bit confused by some of the stuff. He said first, well, most of the locals who do go to locals did go to LA regionals. A few did not compete because of the fear of going O2. Basically, a $50 donation to ones who already qualified or close to qualifying. Right now, as it stands, play Pokemon as tournament product, so to speak, isn't as inviting to newer players and people still in the middle ground of trying to hone their skills. Switch would alleviate some of this, where people could choose to play all the rounds, creating value for their entry fee. And if they are mathematically out of it for day 2, they could drop if they choose to. Second part, I'll explain this. I'll explain it's a leaderboard discussion. I'll use Rise as a recent example. Congrats to Rise going all the way and winning the regional. That's an impressive feat in itself, but since he's already qualified, chasing travel reward potential, but also just for pride, is different than someone actually trying to qualify. The example more is a one-to-one with someone like Arrow. Everyone should have an opportunity to keep competing and traveling if they can afford it, but for those who can't financially, work or family reasons, shouldn't be gatekept from the same experience. So while 2 leaderboards aren't a perfect solution, maybe it's presented as one leaderboard. But when you hit the respective region point threshold and already have qualified, there's some cascading of world's invite, etc. We've had this precedent before, so it's not out of the question. But as it currently stands, the system benefits those who have the time and means, and those who don't are out of luck. Travel award only counting from regionals and ICs, not locals, is a solution. But again, furthermore, benefits a few, not the many. And then he wraps up with, we in LA are lucky to have had those monthly cups consistently for the past season, but I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone rural where they don't have the same opportunities for points potentially. With the closest regionals to them maybe being their only chance to qualify for big points. So even if they do well, aka like Shady Equation or Existing Monkey, for example, and whether they choose to go Hawaii or not, that second or third place equals money and prizing, but the points go nowhere if they are short and they were after the qualification. So my point is, for the scene to truly grow more on the play event side and have more people show up to these tournaments and actually cap outside of EU, there needs to be more reasons to attend the regional events, not less. If I'm a new player, I look at the mountain of things to go right. I'm like, nah, I'm good. The response shouldn't be, well, just get good. I hope this clarifies it enough. This is my opinion on the subject. Here's to see what others think. All right, so there's a lot going on here. What do you all think in general?
I think so. Broadly, what I'm getting from that is he's saying something along the lines of, obviously, the thing about like, if you're just going O2, then it's not very inviting to go to a live event. It seems like he's saying he wants a cascading of points, which I personally don't agree with. I do see the argument for potentially a cascading of like the
guaranteed invite.
The guaranteed invite. Yeah, but that's like, I can see the argument for that. I'm pretty neutral about that because this year it seems to have, gone well regardless without it. But a cascading of points, I think, is a bit too much because, like, at what point do you draw the line and be like, well, are you even getting a world's qualification because you actually earned it, or are you getting it because everyone else has already got it and you're the only one left? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then I think, it's a good point about live events making them a bit more inviting, and I think potentially something along the lines of, like, if we're not going to do a Swiss thing, maybe making the side events a bit nicer, or, like, when I say nicer, like, I don't know. I think it's because I haven't been to any events where they've had a side event local yet.
Yeah.
Because all the ones I've been to just haven't. But I think, a bit of emphasis on those means that, even if you're not doing too well in the main tournament, you've still got the opportunity of that. Yeah, but I think the whole points cascading and then the last thing being, the scene seems to reward people who are willing to pay and travel. I think that's true. I think that's pretty obvious as well, but I don't think that there's really much that can be done about that. The only thing that I think could address that slightly is similar to VGC doing at least one online tournament in a year, which,
but multi-accounting gets kind of weird there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think they have, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure the exact like thingies on how they manage that with VGC, because I do know they play with multiple cards at times, but I don't know. Maybe you have a set amount of games, because I think that's how it works in the VGC ones as well, where you only have like a maximum amount of games that you can play. So,
but what
I
if
don't
you
know.
just hired like I don't know, like Rise Occasion to play your games? You know, like
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how they cover for that in the other game either.
I don't
So.
know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I certainly understand that as someone who can't travel to a lot of tournaments. Like literally last season and this season, I was like, I will go to the ones I can drive to, because that's easy enough. It's cheaper than flying. You know,
How many was that?
it's accessible. It was last season. It was 3. It
Not
was
bad.
gonna be 3 this season. Like I was going to go
Mhm.
to NAIC, but I had a ton of life stuff that
Fair.
suddenly dropped in my lap and got in the way, and I couldn't go anymore. So 2 this season technically. But that's still like a decent amount, you know, for the average person. I'm under no illusions that I would, you know, probably make it to Worlds qualification or whatever. I go because of, you know, the community, and I do enjoy PvP, and I'm okay at it. So I like the opportunity to compete in a live tournament. Um, you know, but that's how I arranged it for myself. It's like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and I'm okay with that. So I mean, it's going to be different for everyone, but I think this is kind of, it goes back to a problem that's always kind of existed in Pokemon Go, where, you know, if you're a rural player without many travel opportunities, it's just generally harder to play the game sometimes. I mean, now we have a lot more events in game than we ever have before, and even, you know, travel based events like the special event that's going on in Madrid this coming weekend, and Go Fest, like those have sort of local, you know, opportunities mixed in a little bit. Like we have an event that goes with Madrid, and we have global Go Fest to counter the NYC Go Fest and the London Go Fest and everything. So, but you know, before that it used to be like, well, I can't go to Go Fest in Chicago, so I guess I just, you know, am left out. So that's always kind of been a problem that has existed in this game, is it's not always the most accessible thing for people without the same level of access and opportunity that others have. um, and yeah, I'm just not sure that there's a great way around that. I do think that the Play Pokemon circuit is making an effort with local tournaments and like adding even more regionals like for every region. Um, you know, I think they're making an effort to try and make it a little more accessible, but I'm just not sure what else can be done on that, like in that regard.
Yeah.
The point system we're all kind of adjusting to, so I'm sure that after, you know, Worlds has happened, there's going to be a lot of, you know, a lot of discussion prior to the next season starting about, you know, what people thought worked and what didn't, you know, and who had, you know, more access or whatever. But again, I just think that's always kind of something that's going to exist no matter what the system that they're using is. um I will say I do definitely agree that just as a game, you know, a competitive game, that Pokemon Go still, you know, has a lot of accessibility issues. Like like I was saying earlier, you can't just go into GBL and like use whatever and expect to win if you don't know what you're doing. And the game itself, if you ignore all other resources, the game itself really has no way of helping you figure
Yeah.
out what you're doing wrong, or how the game is actually supposed to, like how you're actually supposed to play, you know, like the functions of shielding and move timing and move counting and everything. You know, there's, if you ignore all other resources, there's no way around that, you know. I think the Play Pokemon circuit has done a lot to try and alleviate that. The streams in and of themselves, you know, having those little segments about charge attack timing and shielding and those basic functions of how you actually play the game has done a lot for people I know. But that's still like not really the same as doing it yourself and learning, from direct experience. And yeah, if going back to those, in-person event accessibility issues, like if you don't have a local community, if you don't have a way to reliably go to these tournaments, then watching the streams is only going to get you so far. And I know that the streams themselves are limited in how they can reference other material that people might learn from. It's not like you can go and mention pvpoke.com on a play Pokemon stream, even though the community that is involved knows that's probably the number one resource for anyone. And you can tell people that, but then they go to the website and they still might not really know what they're looking at if they're just trying to get into the game. So I do definitely agree that we need to keep working on engaging newer players with this process.
Yeah, I would say those are really good points that you all brought up, and I agree, especially with the like the non-cast not having the points cascade or even the invites, because if we look at how many people qualify for Worlds this year, it's already more than last season, right?
It's about 250 something.
Yeah, and last year we had what 132.
Yeah,
maybe right. So like, yeah, so we've like more than doubled. Outside of maybe like the APAC regions, right? But like that's
TBC APAC's control, literally gone down.
Yeah. But for TBCI regions, like I think it's like at a certain point, you don't want it to be that easy to qualify, right? Because at that point, like what's the purpose? It's not like it's not like the old school Sylph regionals where like pretty much you play like 1 or 2 cups, you just automatically qualify for Sylph regionals.
Yeah,
right? Like you need
it should be hard. To do.
Yeah. Like something I really like, I don't know if you all know Pixel Cheetah. I saw them post this on Twitter, but they were at the LA regional and like a bunch of other regionals as well, and then they went to NAIC and they just fell short. They end up at 497 on their total points, and they wrote like a whole thread, right? Obviously, a very disappointing moment for them, but at the same time, they were like, honestly, like at the same time, I don't feel like I deserve the invite because I've never even top cut. I've always like, I've done a lot of locals to get some points, as well as I got a lot of points from like some losers runs at regionals and stuff. But I never actually like put on maybe like a world's quality like performance at any tournaments, at any big tournaments to warrant the qualification, right? So I think that was like a really good reflective moment from them as well. I mean, obviously 497 is still pretty close, and definitely has the skills to like beat certain people at Worlds. Like I want to say they definitely go 0-2 just because even if they got the 3 points, right? But I like that reflective moment from them because at the end of the day, like yeah, it's cool to qualify for Worlds and like it feels a lot more attainable this season than last season. But at the same time, like it shouldn't be that obtainable in my opinion, right?
Yeah. It has to be earned. And with the point system, I definitely feel like there have been a lot more people even than last season going out to a lot of their local tournaments and really like trying to go for those points. Like I think that people who really want it are making that effort. And it's nice, like you said, to see someone who got so close recognize like, yeah, maybe I'm not there and I got really close, but I'm okay with how I did.
Exactly.
I think that's really important to see people having that discussion instead of just saying like, oh, I got so close and now I can't go.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, we need more nuance just across the board
for sure
in all things. So that's really cool. And again, the World's Invite, like you do have to earn it, and it should be hard. It should be a lot of work and a lot of like time, money, and effort, just as all competitive things are.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like the nuance from RC's post as well too, because he does bring up some interesting points. So I mean, regarding the Swiss and the double elim, right? I think like that's like obviously everyone has different preferences. As someone that got eliminated pretty quickly in my last 2 tournaments, right? I didn't go 0-2, but I came pretty close to it in both these most recent ones. I'm still okay with double elim, but obviously that's my perspective. And I know Anicor talked about like, oh, what about side events and stuff? We'll talk more about that for NAIC. I think for regional side events, they're a little bit maybe not worth your money. Like, yeah, you spend all this money getting prize ball tickets, but the prizes aren't that good. Like, you probably don't even earn your money back, even if you win these side events.
Locals more, as in like local like side events that can give you championship points, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be side events. They'd just be challenged in cups, right? But I think like at the same point, like if you go out 0-2 or 1-2 or whatever, like again, there's still stuff to be gained at regionals and internationals. No challenges and cups, so there's a lot of good side events. But on the regional level, there's typically a challenge on the Friday, a cup on the Sunday, and especially if you're not making top cut, like you have plenty of time on Sunday to play.
Right.
And I think those are great ways to get reps. Like I just personally don't believe that if you play Swiss rounds and you're already out of contention of top cut, that one, you'll face a lot of opponents. Because if you talk to people from the other games, they'll be like, yeah, I won 1-3 and drop, right? And they're just like, I lost 3, I knew I couldn't make top cut. They're just out, right? Because they don't want to spend the next couple hours playing, right? Obviously, culturally speaking, that might be different from Go right now because some players don't have that opportunity. So maybe I could say maybe like the first year or maybe first 6 months, people still stick around even after they lose some. But I think that after maybe a year or two of Swiss, even people will stop playing the remaining of the rounds. You just end up having like buys after buys. And then the other point on that is even if you do face someone that's already out of contention, you don't play the same, right? If you already know there's nothing to play for, like I played in like Silph Continentals where you need a certain like percentage to like make it to like Worlds or the next part of Continentals. And the moment that I'm out of contention, I'm just screwing around and bring Bassi on every game or whatever, right? Like it's not like serious, right? Like I know some people say like, oh, it's more reps, but I obviously some people might take it seriously, but not everyone's going to. I think like playing in an actual thing that actually gives you championship points, like a cup or challenge, has more weight to it, right? But again, some people still prefer Swiss, and I think Swiss is definitely where Go it will be headed if we ever have more people playing the game, because like it's just impossible to do double elim with like 500 plus people, right? So like I think it would like so, but I'm honestly more scared of like network issues with 500 people playing at once than anything else. Right? I think that would make this whole Swiss experience more sour than anything else. But that's just my opinion on that part. But
we already have enough network troubles just with like tournaments as they are currently.
Yeah.
So yeah, doing the Swiss as much as I do feel like yes, it'd be great to have more, the opportunity to play more battles, get more experience, especially for those newer players that we were talking about. You know, different people at different levels are going to treat it very differently. Like you said, some people definitely are going to just start messing around. Like if they're not moving towards qualification, they know they have no chance of it, then it's not going to be like playing them for real, for some people. But certainly people with less experience would take any opportunity to sort of battle and get a little more information and experience. So I can see both sides of it, and I'm just not sure. I mean, I think the tournaments are pretty good as they are. I think that they do, most of them do offer cups and challenges, as well as other side events for you to interact with the community and at least, have a good experience. I mean, at that Knoxville tournament, I was on stream first and I won that and I felt so good. And then I literally lost my next two because they were against very talented trainers and I didn't get swept in either of those games, but it's still the scorecard is like 1-2.
Yeah.
And I still had a great weekend. Interacting with people I hadn't seen in a long time, interacting with my travel buddies that came with me, and just in general being in that arena, felt really fun for me. Even if I don't like how I personally performed, like competitively, I still chalk it up as a great weekend. So I think there's something to be said still for finding the ways you can make the most out of it, instead of kind of trying to make things more difficult for everybody by adding in a lot more stuff that we don't necessarily need at this juncture.
Yeah, definitely.
To be honest, I kind of agree with that in terms of like, I know a lot of like with the argument of being like, oh yeah, I'm paying money just to go to. I don't think I ever enter a tournament. First of all, thinking about the fact that I paid money for it, because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like part and parcel. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like I need my money's worth out of anything because I'm not expecting anything, But then also, secondly, it's like, well, I'm going to the tournament not really to, necessarily go positive in a tournament. Obviously, that's like the goal, but also like to meet people and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Innit? You know, and to hang out with people. So I think really and truly, if I didn't really get along with most people, I don't think I'd bother playing anymore. So I don't know. Do you know what I mean? No, innit? Like the only reason I'm still playing is because of the championship series, and it's because like actually a lot of people who come to these events are really cool to get along with, you know, and it's like really nice going to events on those weekends. So yeah, I don't feel like I ever feel if I do badly in a tournament like I've just wasted money, because it's like it's not really the point, you know.
Yeah, there's still plenty of stuff that I enjoy about even just traveling.
Yeah. Going to a new place is like banging on its own.
You haven't been to Peoria, Anicor. I'm just saying. Some of these NA tournaments are.
Some of them leave. Some of the locations might leave a little to be desired, but but in general, you know, I go to Charlotte. I know I'm gonna at least get some awesome barbecue. So whatever.
Yeah, I know you're checking on the flight tracker next season, Anicor, to go to some NA tournaments. Definitely run it by me which ones you're trying to go to, because it might be surprised when you land.
Yeah, I've seen it's very funny because like they have this here, right, in the UK, but I say more so in the US. Yeah, but I've seen some episodes of 90 Day Fiance, right? And you'll have the person on the other side, yeah, so like the person who's not from the US trying to go to the US, and they're just like, they've got this image in their head where like the US, wherever it is, it's all like New York. Yeah, and they like land Hollywood, in the middle of the they land in the middle of flipping Louisiana. Yeah, like
that's where we're just at.
Swear on. Just like rolling hills and farms and nothing nearby, and they're shocked, and I'm like, Rev,
it was even though I wasn't in you know, I wasn't able to go to NAIC. I saw so many comments like about the weather and like the structure of the city and everything, and I'm just like, welcome to the southeastern United States, everybody. Where it's always hot and you will never know where you're going.
Yeah, and people tend to move a little bit slower in the south too, including the service industry too, because I was just like, man, I've been in LA for like almost 2 years now, and I forgot like how sometimes it takes a second to get the like,
y'all
gotta
take your time.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I've been standing here waiting for like the waiter to come by for like a solid 15 minutes. Like
that's them rural areas, isn't it? Yeah, they know no one's got anywhere to go.
It's not even rural. It's just the south. But
no, it is. Yeah. It's a very southern mentality. Yeah. Take your time. Like
in LA, they'd be like in and out, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so obviously, I think Swiss is the eventual future anyway. So I think as long as the game continues to grow, and if not, then well, we have nothing we're talking about because the game's just gonna die. But so I think for the Swiss lovers, I think that will eventually happen.
I actually did some research on I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do any research, but a tweet came
Why
up.
Did you say that? Then? I don't understand.
A tweet came up which did the research for me, but it turns out that like so you know we were talking about the VGC Swiss last week, right?
Yeah, like they had 69 players or something at Bologna.
Yeah, so basically I didn't look into what's been the case in like past tournaments and when they've changed or anything like that. However, it seems like for Worlds, the format that they're going with, it sounds like from the players' response that it's a new format.
Yeah,
but it also sounds like it's relatively fair. So you've got day one Swiss, yeah, and there's a specific top cut where it's like if you go X and 2, no matter how many people are going X and 2, if you go X and 2, you go to day 2, right?
Okay. It's a little more fair. You don't have to worry about tiebreakers as much.
Yeah, so there's no tiebreakers at that point.
I like that.
And day 2, yeah, you have, depending on the amount of players, or the amount of initial players, there's like either something like 2 to 4 rounds extra of Swiss. And what they do there is they take the top records, yeah, and they try and basically fill up the top 32. So let's say, you know, there's a few people unbeaten, they'll put them in top 32. Then people who went, you know, X and 1, they'll put them in top 32. Then if there's some space, they'll do everyone who's at that next record, yeah, and it will be an uneven top cut. So even if there's like, you know, maybe there's 15 players left who've all got X and 2, yeah, and it means that the top cut is 30 players, they'll go with a 30-player top cut and they'll give buys to, you know, the best performing players instead. So they're going for day 3 an uneven top 32 top cut where it could be less.
No, day 3 for them is just grand finals.
So it might be then still day 2, but after the Swiss.
Yeah, later day 2. Okay.
Yeah. But so yeah, it would be uneven top 32 top cut, and I think that's pretty good because obviously you're
Wait,
gonna
so
get
what's the point of I don't understand. So day 2, they have a bunch of people that made it with like, let's say like 8 and 2. So like all the 8 and 2s and above go. And then all of them play it out for another top 32.
A few more Swiss rounds,
Okay.
and then they'll get like a top 32 or less.
Or less.
Yeah.
So let's say like after that. So day 2 Swiss. So like everyone day 2, like everyone that's 3-0 make it into 32. But let's say if there's a few, like let's say there's 30 players that are 3-0, then they just cut off the last 2 remaining spots.
Yeah. So then like anyone who went 2 and 1, they'll
it's
just
so weird if it's odd numbers, because then the top 30 and stuff, like top 29, then right off the bat someone gets a bye, which is like a huge advantage.
But then the bye goes to the people who perform the best. So whoever's the first seed.
The byes are typically weighted like really high, so that they
but it's like they earned it, I guess, And then at the same time, you don't have anyone missing out because of resistance, which is probably the thing that feels the worst.
Oh, because you're saying the people that get the bye are the people that have the highest like resistance from the first the previous.
Not even the highest resistance. They're the people who went unbeaten or something like.
Well, I know, but there'll probably be multiple people unbeaten at that point, right? So
Whoever's got like the best record. So I feel like that's a lot more fair, because it's like the biggest problem you would have with that is you would be like, okay, well, maybe there's 2 people who are unbeaten, one of them gets the bye and one of them doesn't. And that's a bye based on resistance, but at least it doesn't eliminate you based on resistance, which I feel like is probably a bit more favorable for a lot of these players, isn't it?
That could be interesting. I know last year for TCG, I don't know for VGC, but they had like the highest ranked people on the global leaderboards based on region, like your championship points, not like a specific percentage. They skipped day 1 completely.
Yeah,
that was their format, which is wild, right?
I think they've stopped doing that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, which is probably a little more fair, because that's like you avoid so much. Like you're just chilling on Friday. You're just like
a whole 10 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah, I don't have to play any of it, right? I just play a top 32, right? Which is crazy to me. But I think it's important not to do that part.
Yeah, I think we need a lot more people participating in Go before we get to a place like that.
And better internet and stuff. But
definitely.
Whole separate issue. But
that's a problem for future me.
Yeah, that's a problem for present me too. But anyway, Infant Smash had a couple comments. So he said Caleb XP do it. Yeah, we're talking about how like my initial XP, so it could be like King IB in some ways. He also continues, TPCI could buy 200 iPhones and rent them to each major event and ship them in Pelican cases from event to event. Place if they got to Apple directly, they might be able to work a better deal. There's companies that do this already, for same service with camera lenses. Yeah, that's a potential. I mean, I think so. Like that's mostly like the TPCI region. I know NA they use like iPhone, right? Like this right now, like really nice iPhones. They use it for EU regionals too.
Yeah.
So it's just really just LATAM and APAC, right? Not even APAC, just PJCS, because all the other APAC terms are online. So that's definitely an option, right? Like I think like especially if like I said, they were playing on their own phones at PJCS, which is like it's so weird. Like I'm like, I'm peeping their phone right off the bat. Like they're Android. Oh, I can't be losing this, right? They're dropping frames already right off the bat, right? Like don't be trying to bring this to review. That's a phone issue, right? We can play this 20 times, you're losing frames. Infant Match also says seeding only further divides the skill gap, just because some elitist pricks give up like crybabies after 2 losses doesn't make it right to take away the reps for others that don't live in mommy and daddy's basements and can fly to every event. We talk about wanting to grow the community, then you say O2 is worth $60 event ticket, and God knows how much to travel, etc. You speak from a stance of a 3-time runner-up. I don't know about that, right? Because I went, look, we'll talk more about this at NAIC portion. I went 1-2 this past weekend, right? And I went 2-2, I think, at LA. Right. And I think I'm very okay with it. And honestly, if I went 0-2 at NAIC, that's fine too. Right. Like I'm not going runner up every time. Right. But we did talk about regarding, I think, seeding. Well, we didn't talk about seeding as much. I think seeding is tough in the sense that if you're a newer player, you will have to play stronger players right off the bats. But I mean, like, it's not like you can't upset players like that, right? Like Kobe Copeland beat what do you call it? Ricksmaster and like made a huge winners run in Portland, right? And you see actually quite a bit even in NAIC. I mean, NAIC is a great example. We had like top seeds like Doombug, Rise, Axon go like 0-2, 1-2, or 2-2. And you know who they faced? Lower seeds that have not gone to as many tournaments, right? And I think so. Like it's very possible. And here's the thing: the moment they beat them, their bracket's way easier, right? Because their hardest opponent was round 1, right? Like it only gets easier for them, right? And not saying like that's an easy task to beat these people or not, but it's not like an impossibility, right?
Yeah.
Also, you know what? I don't like that mentality too much because I think it comes back to like it's like, what are you expecting from a competitive tournament? You know, like, are you expecting what you might consider an easy run so you can get, you know, what may be considered a free top cut? Because that really just sounds.
I think Infamous Master also wants Swiss is
right. Yeah. But I think, you know, like that sort of perspective, it's like you kind of have to expect to play good players, otherwise. Do you know what I mean? In it, like where you're going to go in this game, you know, you're going to have to play good players eventually. You can't avoid them the whole time. So, you know,
I mean, I don't know how anyone can be watching, like, or at least keeping an like staying aware of the play Pokemon circuit and like who's on the leaderboards and everything. I don't know how anyone can be aware of all that and then think that they can like show up at a regional and it also be like as easy as it is like for those repeat names like Dunebug and Axon and everybody. It's like, no, you see them there like multiple events, like putting in work, you know, not to mention locals probably that people are going to. So I just don't like, if you're gonna go, you know, you have kind of an idea of some of the players that are gonna be there, and you know it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
You know, I really, I mean, that also goes back to, you know, there's often not a lot of newer players at these events, so it's like, yeah, I kind of know the community that's gonna be there, and I know it's gonna be hard, you know, but you sign up to do it anyway.
Right. Well, and there's newer players all over time. Like Rockhaven, great example, right? Started out this season at Peoria and just absolutely killed it, right? And had like multiple like top cut finishes. Like he's like 4-0 against Rise Occasion, right? Like it's crazy. Like I haven't beat Rise Occasion ever in a series. And I played him many times. But what do you call it? We have Ashton Ash, who we'll talk about later too. First season competing, first time was at Sacramento, never top cut ever, right? You think he had a
he didn't.
He didn't. I know. No, he did not. Unless it was a Mexico event or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mexico.
Oh, okay, yeah, but that's not on Dracoviz, right? So that's on you guys. You need to update the website.
Right? Actually, it's not on me, but certain Mexico Donnies. Yeah, I've been asking for the data, and
okay. Well, outside of that, right? Like he hasn't made any top cuts in NA or in the non-special event tournaments, and got second place, right? You think his seeding was high? Probably not, right? Like, I think like
it definitely didn't start that way, you know.
No, it did not. And I think it was funny because I was talking to some of the Latin players, and they said that they even joked. They're like, astronauts, maybe you get the travel award if you win, like, you know, top 3 or something in the tournament, jokingly, right? And then, you know, he gets number 2 and actually gets the travel award, which is kind of nuts.
He wasn't, he wasn't joking.
yeah, he was fully committed, and he literally started his first ever tournament. Yeah, he was seeded number 6, so not super low, but yeah, he faced an 11-round seed, and then he faced King Alexander, 3 seed, right? Beat him. He faced Frostfire, 2 seed, beat him. He faced Zardy, the 1 seed, beat him as well, right? And this is all on day 1, and of course he played Juggernauts like day 2 as well, as if that wasn't a hard day 1 bracket, right? So, you know, it's all part of it, but again, Swiss will eventually happen. Doesn't matter how many times we talk about it here or how many times you recommend it on this podcast in the comments or wherever. I mean, I think everyone, you know, we welcome people to share their opinions on it, but that's going to be a TPCI thing. And unfortunately, we don't have the numbers for it. We definitely don't have the infrastructure for it too. I don't think TPCI is afraid to spend money to buy more phones. It's just the game
like
is
that.
lagging.
That's not the issue.
Yeah, the game is lagging and have all sorts of issues before. And let me tell you, at the LA Regional on Friday, there was a challenge. It was like round 2 of the challenge. went on for like over an hour. I was like, what's going on, right? I wasn't even playing it, but I was like talking to somebody. I was like, wait, we're still in the same round, and they like 2 players played like five different games because there's so many disputes and lag and everything, right? I'm just like, you do realize that when Swiss happens and there's any disputes or reviews or whatever, everyone stops playing, like so much downtime. You can't, and on stream, that's it too. You can't be like, well, let's just pull another stream match from that same round. No, because they already started their game. You literally can't do that, right? There is no other stream match to pull. So, but
do you know what? I think this is
a viewer
unfortunate
experience
because
issue
actually,
too.
like, I'm just clocking. So obviously, we're saying like, what are you even intending to get out of going into an event if you don't want to play good players, And I'm comparing it to like Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think there's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players who go to events and they want to try their fun deck, and they may not be expecting to do very well, but because it's Swiss, they do get to play against other people who also want to try out their fun deck, not really too much space for that here, like if you want to try out your fun team, fair enough, but you kind of have to be like, well, I'm either going to do well or I'm not going to play, so I feel like the Swiss portion could aid the people who just want to go and like have fun, I guess. Obviously people have fun in different ways. Some people have fun,
I mean, that's the gamble you get, right? Running
random,
some like very spice, like off meta stuff. I will say too, for like prior, like, okay, regardless of what we say, like Swiss ain't coming, right? Like, I mean, maybe next season if we're really lucky, but my guess is probably not. I don't know. I don't have any inside info. Regardless of what TP said determines on that, I think if it's double elim or double elim with seeding, double elim with seeding is still better because it was just the last season, maybe the first season is like harder to remember, but the last season there were so many brackets that were just so stacked with players because there was no seeding. And then you have other brackets where like you're just watching some of the gameplay in the like the winners final stuff, and it's like so like you could tell the skill level is way different, but it's because they had just way easier runs and like some of the heavy hitters weren't in that. And it makes day 2 look awful too because those players maybe shouldn't have been on the winner side day 2, and they just get completely stomped and go straight 0-2 on day 2 because they're actually now facing opponents that are like much higher skill level, but they just happen to get lucky, right? It's no fault to anyone in that situation, but it just creates like a very weird tournament and viewer experience because there's people that
it's been much smoother this season.
Yeah.
Like with seeding.
Yeah, like there's, I mean, for lack of better terms, there's people that make it to day 2 that maybe shouldn't have, right? If they actually faced off against like the higher level players that were more spread out throughout the tournament. So that ensures that. I will say though, seeding, I think one thing that could use some work is that I think they should take best performance as a way to seed rather than just general performance. Because like if you play in a lot of regionals, your seeding is going to go up regardless of how well you do. Like I don't think it doesn't go down, right? So there's some players that you'll see they're like number 1 seed or number 2 seed, and you're like, are they really the number 1 seed in this bracket if you look into other names? But it's because they've gone to a lot of events, and that's not their fault. But I think like maybe TPCI should take like maybe the top 3 finishes at a regional / international as a factor for seeding rather than just purely who goes in more. Because some of these top players don't go to as many tournaments either.
That's true, yeah. I don't know the seeding process exactly, but what I can say is, firstly, seeding started after the season had started, right?
Yeah, it was November.
So, so it was like there wasn't actually a set out sort of method of doing it as opposed to, okay, here's all the data and, telling all the organizers just, figure out seeding on your own. So I think over the course of the year, obviously a lot of organizers, some of them have figured out the formula quite well. Some of them maybe not so much. But I imagine going into this coming season where it'll be like, okay, cool. Now we're starting the season, from the beginning. We've had a whole year of trying to figure out this seeding, which method was the best. And I imagine there might be like a sort of standardized way of doing it.
Yeah.
Also, at the beginning of like when seeding started at, last season, there was a lot less data points as well. But I think over the course of the season, you may even be able to like completely ignore, like, let's say for example, when they go seeding for Worlds, I reckon that they could possibly even ignore 2023 data and just look at 2024 data because there'll be enough data there for them to like confidently be like, okay, this person should go here, etc. But I think earlier on there was probably a bit less, so they're looking at 2023 data, maybe some 2022 data as well, depending on like the organizer. So I reckon next season will probably be a bit more on point.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how that goes. But and then the last comment we had from last episode is from Trainer Ponce. Anicor turned into freaking Pennywise from it at the end. As his background got darker and darker. Scary. Yeah, lights are on this time around. So he's more like Ronald
You're
McDonald
safe to watch
the yeah. I mean, I do wonder if some people watch these while they're like going to sleep too. So maybe that's part of it.
Bro, imagine waking up in the middle of the night to that.
Dude, imagine if like it would not be the craziest thing if someone, because you know how if you sometimes watch something right before bed, like you sometimes start dreaming about it. Yo, what if someone's dreaming about you as a clown?
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, like I've dreamed about friends, right, and stuff like in dreams before, but never as clowns, right? But that was, you've really entered people's nightmares, like Freddy Krueger. Anyway, that's just for our YouTube comments. Thank you again to everyone who left some. But with that said, I think we got a big tournament to talk about, and it was NAIC, which I attended. And let me just say, all right, before we get into all the results, dude, what are the odds? What are the odds? All right, so let me tell you how this goes. Right, 2 weeks ago, LA Regional, right? There was over 128 players who ever. So we had 8 groups, 8 brackets. Obviously, I know a lot of people going to that one, right? Having to scrim with 2 of my friends that end up in the same bracket, right? It was me and Tiwasel and Adib Khan all in the same bracket, all in the same half. Funny enough, one of my locals, Andy, who's also ended up staying in the same Airbnb as us at NAIC, was also in the bracket. So that was the first time Tiwasel and Adib met Andy, but we're all going to be in the same one. So I was like, oh, this is Andy. All in the same bracket, all in the same half. I faced Tiwasel and Adib. Andy faced Adib and Tiwasel, right? Andy beats Adib and loses Tiwasel. I lose to both Tiwasel and Adib. And then Adib faces both me and Andy, and Tiwasel faces Andy and me. Like we all like face like 2 out of the 3 other pairs, which is crazy, right? And I lose, obviously, to both of my friends. What is the chances we come into NAIC and there's a top 16? Or sorry, not top 16, 16 brackets,
top
right?
So
16, right? It went to like what, bracket M or something, right?
Bracket O.
Wait, so was there 16?
It should have been 16 groups.
There's 16 groups, right? 16 groups. Yeah. Wait, is that right? It goes.
I don't know. There was a group O though. I recall that. Maybe.
Wait. Wait, how many? How does it go to that many? Wait, is it? Am I right? Like, what? There's no way O is like the 16th letter in the alphabet, right?
P.
Wait, so are there more than? Are they? Wait, actually, wait. Is it? How many groups? No, it's 20. Oh no, wait. One.
No, it can't be 20 groups.
No,
because there has to be a top 32 in it. So it was 16. But I went to Group P, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. P is apparently the 16th letter in the alphabet. What? Am I tripping?
I mean, you never need to know that. You know what I mean?
Dude, I don't know. It's been so long since English class.
You never.
Okay, so 16. There were 16. There were 16, right? Yeah. And credit to TPCI as well. They started doing this for EYC as well. They started emailing us call times the night before. So they had the groups, and we don't know who was in the groups. They say, "Hey, your call time is 11:15 a.m." I kid you not. I was like, we're in the same Airbnb, right? Me, Andy, Adib, Tiwasel. We're like, oh, what groups you all in? Like, 11:15. I'm like, what? I was like, well, and of course, I figured they're going to break it up into 4, right? So I was like, okay, well, maybe A through D is like 9 a.m. call time, right? Whatever, and then the other ones. So I was like, there's a chance we're still not being in the same group. I'm like, I'm gonna stop screaming with you all starting now, right? Just in case, it happens again. And why is it that I wake up and I see that we're all in the same exact bracket, all 4 of us again? Literally again. And my first,
it was so much fun at LA.
Not want to do it again for some of them, yeah, not for me. But so we're all in the same freaking group again, and we had like Adib had to face off against Andy first, actually. So they had to play each other, and then I had to play Adib in the winner's semis, right? So there was everyone in round 1 was like pretty much a no show or bye, and then round 2 I got a bye. Some other people like the higher seeds got bye, so I got a bye on that one, and then I had to face off against a Tope Stradamus round 3, which he was just super weak to charge bug, and then I faced Adib right away. I'm like, dude, what are the odds of this? And then T-Wastel, like he was on the lower half. And I lose to Deeb, which I don't know. Like my team was, they didn't have a Spark Lantern answer. I had Charge Bug and like a Vigoroth. Like it was amazing, but I just was bringing Spark Lantern. I had like Fralgate and stuff. And he was like 5 times weak to Charge Bug or neutral to it. Right. His only check was Shadow Gligar. And I get it on Shadow Gligar every single game. I was like, I don't know what to do. I literally asked him, right? Because I thought about it all day after I lost. I was like, could I have done anything to win those games? He's like, no. Like, you really couldn't have. Like, it was game 1. I ran Charge Bug to Gligar. I say swap Fralga. He came in Spark Lantern, and then he had a Skarmory in the back of my Mana Buzz. And, like, there's no way Mana Buzz takes out Skarmory and Gligar. Game 2, I run Bastion to Lantern. I know I lose the lead there, right? And then I already knew the moment I come in Charge Bug to farm him down, he comes in Gligar, I go Mandy, he goes Skarmory. And I'm just like, I was like, I knew like once I lost the lead, I probably lost the game because he definitely brings Gligar every time, knowing that I've been Charge Bug. And not fun, right? I wait all day just to face T-Wastel and the losers, right? Like quarterfinals or something. And I'm sitting across from him. I'm just thinking, dude, this could be like, I'm about to pull off the funniest thing ever where I just lose to the same 2 people in back-to-back tournaments out of 8 brackets and 16 brackets. And of course, I didn't win alignment in any of my losses or any of my games against these 2. It went to game 3. It was, I ran, what was it? Charge Bug into Shadow Whiscash. Again, Charge Bug pretty safe for me, but he only had Shadow Whiscash to answer. Charge Bug and Shadow Whiscash. I swap, what did I swap? I swapped I don't even, no, sorry. I ran yeah, it was I don't even know. Oh no. So I think I ran a Mana Buzz into the yeah, I swapped for Alligator. He comes in Charge Bug. Right, so like this non-child for Alligator ain't working for me. I was working my pocket, right? And then he takes and then he, I finish off his Charge Bug with my own. He comes in Whiscash. I go Mana Buzz. He has a Zoom. I'm like, well, can't do anything there, right? Like I had all the shields in the world, doesn't matter, right? And then game 2 is the only game I won against these guys, right? Game 2, I lead Mana Buzz into, I lead Charge Bug into Shadow Whiscash. No, sorry, I lead Mana Buzz and Shadow Charge Bug. I swap my Charge Bug. He comes in Whiscash. I Bastion back. He has Annihilate. And I won that game. I kid you not. That was the one game I won, right? It was like as bad as it gets. And then game 3, he goes ABA weak to Bastion for some reason. I go Mana Buzz lead, and he just stays in when I go Charge Bug. And then he had the Zoom on my Mana Buzz, and then I had a Wiggles out of the back. I was just like, I just remember I was like, there's nothing I can do. I was talking to Polly afterward. I was reflecting my games. I'm like, man, maybe my team was like a little too aligned. Like we're
Wait,
like
you were running
heavy.
Bastidon Wigglytuff.
Yeah. So I was running Bastidon, Wigglytuff, Fralgator, Vigoroth, Mandibuzz, and Charge Bug. And Mandibuzz generally is like pretty like flexible, but there was a huge uptick in fairy types in Azumarill, and it actually didn't feel that flexible at all because I was just getting hard walls all the time. But I was talking to Polly, I was like, man, I was like looking at these like games that other people playing on stage, and I was like, like I played my losses as perfectly as I can. I literally know all my win cons, but I just couldn't play it out because my Pokemon were so inflexible. I was like, maybe I should play like, more flexible, less like alignment based Pokemon. And he just starts laughing. He's like, Caleb, you do realize that that's what every good player does except for you, right? Like, I was like, true. I was like, maybe I should have just like not done it. And the Wiggly stuff I brought it because I was trying to like, ward off like Annihilate, right? To really scare off the Annihilate. But it just, I ended up never even bringing Vigoroth, so it didn't work out. But anyway, that was my sad experience of going. So I will I went 2-2 in the bracket, but like in the results, but it's really just 1-2 because I had to buy. And again, I'm okay with double elim, right? I'm saying like as someone did not make grand finals for quite a while now, I'm okay, or a top cut. But anyway, enough about me. What the odds of the seeding is on that one's pretty nuts, and I never want to do it again. But
never want to
what
do
are
it
the
again.
What are the odds? Anyway.
It does seem improbable. I won't say impossible.
Yeah, because to my understanding, they like everyone's like they don't split random people in the groups then seed them. They just like split them all up like seeding per group. So it just happened to be that like T-Wastel and Adib's like out of 16 groups, it just like evenly ends up in the same one as me. What are the freaking reasons? What are the possibilities, right? What are the possibilities?
You know what though? Maybe it's because like there hasn't been any events since. Oh well, there was LA. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say like I guess it might be the same seeding as LA because there hasn't been any events, but I guess there's been LA in it, so that would have affected it a bit. Yeah, unfortunate. Unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyway, very unfortunate, but overall, great event though. What did you all think as people that watched from the production side of things?
I mean, I think these events, like in terms of watching the stream, again, it just keeps getting better, like with the content, like the casting and the content that's available to like get people hyped about all the events, you know, upcoming, and share what is happening next so that people can start planning and everything. Like I think production wise, like each time it just gets, you know, better and better. And you know, I really enjoyed, like, the casting is always so exciting at these really big events. Like there's just so much even more production value like that goes into you know, getting these people on their own stage and not just like in the one box, and interacting with the crowd more. Like I love the introduction of like the interviews afterwards, you know, talking to more and more players about what they're doing and everything. So like from a production standpoint, amazing, like super fun to watch even at home, like me sitting on my couch.
Yeah. No, definitely.
All right, Kaz, I'm glad that you're on the positive side of this, isn't it? Yeah, because that leaves me very free to be on the negative side.
What's your negative side? What's your negative side?
All right, bruv. Okay, let me start with my favorite. Yeah.
Okay, what?
Let's get rid of the catch animation, bruv. Do you know how many catches just weren't even catches? They weren't even like
the 1
anything
HP to
specific.
Dreams too. There was a couple like 5 HP to Dreams. I was like, it's not
there
one
was
HP.
somewhere it's just like they swapped the Pokemon in, and it's like, okay, what part of that was a catch? Because no move was caught. Yeah, I think they even threw a few fast moves before they even threw a charge move. Where was the catch? Yeah, they'd really just be throwing it for anything anyway. So
we really praise. I think maybe we really praised them for that too early on, and they were like more.
I was not praising them for it at all. Yeah, I think everyone else. You know what? Yeah, everyone has made our bed. Yeah, and I think in the future, yeah, we need to be a bit more. You know, what's the word? Like where you're scrutinizing a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Innit? Yeah, because hey, you made the bed for everyone and me. Yeah, and I hate it. Yeah, so these animations they can go.
All right. What else you hate? What else you hating on? No, not many EU players making the top of the top.
Hey, bruv, out of like what 5 EU players that turned up, and 3 of them made.
I don't know.
Cup?
I don't know how many EU players went.
I think it was pretty much just 5. You know, to be honest. Yeah, okay. 5 of them. 3 of them made top cut. I mean, that was one more than I expected as well.
What about LATAM though?
LATAM,
yeah. Like out of out of region players, the LATAM players.
So
clean.
How many is it? Like 1, 2.
Dude, some these EU players don't respect like rock type Pokemon, and I don't like. I get like in EU they don't bring rock types like Bastion and Carbink much. But then they show up to NA tournaments also weak to it. I don't get like that Carbink versus these Wise team was so free. Like it was crazy. Like
know about Aziz Wireless and his team building is usually
Tritondo was also very weak to the rocks too, right? He had Quagsire and Magnus, which is not.
I mean, one thing I'd say is that like that's kind of wild to it's wild to build weak to Bastiodon when there was literally 2 Bastiodons in, you know, the top 8 of the last EU regional, you know. And I don't know if like okay, the only thing you can think
I just gotta say is like you better warn your EU brethren to bring something that could counter Bastia at Worlds, right? Because you can only gamble this so many times, right? Like
I think
this is like even worse of a gamble than when I was weak to Alolan Sandslash against Elite at Fresno, right? Like
it's true.
Start spreading the word now.
Yeah, you know those Australians going to Worlds and they gonna have Bastia on every team there, right? Like they love that stuff there.
Yeah, but like honestly, and I think okay, what were we saying last week? We were saying I was saying like what 6 to 8 LATAM players, and that's roughly what we got. But I think more impressively is where most of them ended up, because
you said the top 4 were going to be all NA too, which
I thought enough,
it was only like top 2. Elam's flag is not NA, but he's a NA player, right?
Yeah. He's based NA, but he counts as an NA player.
I want to count as
the
a Latam, but the top 2 out of 3 Latam.
Yeah, man,
crazy,
mad.
Yeah,
but honestly, impressive. And also, it's like, if you look at Harjeff was okay. I mean, he had to play against Steinar, so it was only
that's crazy too. I mean, that was a fun match, but
that was a sick
unfortunate
match,
for them.
Same.
He almost
team,
won with the Gligar against the sumo in the back. Okay, same DK won.
Oh
that was
nuts. But yeah, so in the top 8, 3 of the top 8 being from LATAM, I think was insane. And then if you look at the top 16, you had a further 2 as well. So like really good showing from the LATAM players.
Incredible.
And honestly, do you know what? I think as a whole, right? This, as well as just generally like the composition of the top 32 and stuff like that, it really excited me because I would say that this year is the first EUIC and NAIC. It's the first time where we've had like
top 32
ICs where people want to travel abroad, partly because of the championship points thing, but also partly because we've grown so large that people are like, oh, I know this is a very significant stage that I want to play on. You didn't get that much of it that last year, it was still very much, contained to like the local region. Obviously, you've got some people flying over, but not as much. And I think this is the start where in other games, they do that very frequently, obviously sometimes they get like some travel awards to do it, but generally you'll get a lot more people in the other games traveling to the ICs, and I think this is the start of us also doing the same. So I think that's exciting for one, where it's like next year NAIC and maybe even next year LAIC, it's going to be not necessarily just Latin America or North America, but it's going to be like a combination of the both, and you're going to have a lot more competition between regions when it gets to top cut as well. So I think that's really good. But also the second thing I think, and I don't really have too much of a particular issue with the world's qualification system with the championship points, and more people qualifying, because I'm just like, well, you just focus on the later rounds, because the later rounds are realistically going to be the ones where maybe the weaker players are filtered out.
You never know. Some of these, some of the predictions, we had Doombug and Rise Accent getting upset like round 1 and 2. It was crazy.
I know, and this makes me.
And
more
these aren't even by
Worlds,
people that some of these people that beat him aren't even Worlds qualified.
But so like I'm looking at Worlds and I'm like, okay, well, realistically, there's a lot of players on there who may have not qualified in the old method, but personally, I'm like, they can go toe to toe with these players, isn't it? Yeah. And having the championship points system allows them to actually prove it on the world stage. And if they don't do it, they don't do it. Yeah. But honestly, there's a lot of players in this top 32 of NAIC where they may have not qualified in the system last year. And maybe, if we had the same system this year, they wouldn't qualify.
How Stark wouldn't have qualified?
So many players wouldn't have, do you say?
Like on last year's system, he wouldn't have qualified.
He wouldn't have qualified this year. Yeah,
except
he's one of the players where it's like you could peg him as he could go all the way at Worlds. And there's a lot of players in this top 32 where I think the same thing. And you know what? Even if you go to the tier, let's say like you've got that elite tier, even the tier below that, I feel like the skill level of that tier is very high to where they're maybe a good event away from pushing to the elite tier. And it's like, you know what? Give them the chance at Worlds, because I reckon they could, make a really good run in it. So yeah, this event, like looking at this event and looking at the top 32, I'm actually pretty excited for Worlds, because I'm like, regardless of who is actually attending, you've got most of the people who should be there, let's say. I say most because obviously, there's some people who just didn't manage to make it where, and also that, they can't travel in it. But some people not making it, just like, unfortunate, where you feel like, oh, they should have been. Like Dial-Up, I think, is probably the best example.
Oh my gosh, I talked to Dial-Up. This guy, like, Dial-Up's a great. He's so funny too, and like, I mean, I didn't have a great run at NAIC either, right? So he was just saying, he was the number 5 seed going into it.
Yeah,
his record was pretty sad. He had Javier V20 in it. Well, SS1 wasn't there. Valor Ash, Auburn, were some notable names in that bracket. And and he lost to the Map for Real, who was a 12 seed, and then he lost to and then he had a bye from Essa Storm and someone else, and then he lost to Rangus
Rangasamy, who I saw was I saw a tweet
seed.
Who was apparently this guy was Nighttime Clash's student.
Oh, and they qualified. Yeah, they qualified for Worlds. Yeah, they qualified for Worlds to that. Crazy, right? Qualifying over Dialab Churn, which is, again, like, even with seeding, you can have upsets, right? Which is pretty incredible. He got 2-0'd. And Dialab was just, I was like, man, what happened? He's like, dude, I went straight 0-2 in this tournament. I was like, he's like, yeah, like, there was some, like, my bracket was stacked, but, like, I didn't even face the big names when I lost. And he was cracking me up. He was like, I think he didn't read the team sheet, and I think it was against the Map for Real. He's running a Play Rough Hydro Pump with Zoomro.
Bro, and
he had a Quag, Shadow Quagsire and a Shadow Gligar in the back, right? Against the guys at Zoomro. And the Zoomro had so much energy, right? And he was just like, and he was like, I think I pretty much lost, right? But he's just hoping the Zoomro spends some of the energy. Maybe he gets a move before the Zoomro gets another Ice Beam. But this Zoomro's like almost at 100 energy, and then throws a Play Rough. And then all of a sudden he's like, Play Rough, like he had like 5 HP on his question. Why do a Play Rough? He looks at team sheet. He's like, oh crap, it's Play Rough Hydro Pump, right? and he just gets by a Hydro Pump on the Gligar, which I was like, wait, isn't it better if it's Play Rough Hydro Pump because you had a chance to win? He's like, yeah, I could have won if I knew it was Hydro Pump because I just go to Gligar ahead of time and no, he can't get to Hydro Pump in time. But I was just like, this guy was cracking me up. But so not tough run for him, but you know, a lot of upsets too, right? I mean, we're looking at this bracket like. This is something I'm very curious about too. Your thoughts on Axon ran a Metacham. I don't know if you realize that.
No, I didn't look at his team.
He ran a Metacham, so he went 2-1 against the 16 seed. He was the number 1 seed, obviously, in his group, and then he got 2-1 by Jim Jammer, and he got 2-0'd by Ivy Pips. So he went 1-2 in the tournament as well. And I don't know what he was trying to do with the Metacham, but like, I don't think it's good. He had a pretty meta team, I think, outside the Metacham. But just like, why? Like, it's just.
Do you know what the thing is, though? Yeah,
I mean, some people just want their counter user.
I guess so, but that's like, and apparently it was a different spread than his previous one. Dude, he had a whole different spread. But like, I mean,
But you know what? I don't hate the Metacham only for the reason where it's like, it's not good. No, but look, the thing is, is that like it doesn't necessarily need to play the same role. As Annihilate, but rather being just like a bulky neutral Pokemon, because you can hit back at Annihilate with the Psychic. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a nerf Psychic. If you don't one shot it, what's the point, right? It's like
what, you don't one shot it.
No.
But I get what you're saying. Some people prefer the bulk over like some of the other counter users that don't have.
But slightly better Gligar matchup. You just lose to everything else. You like he had all right. Here's his team: Charge Bug, Shadow Gligar, Lickitung, Metacham, Shadow Quagsire, Skarmory. So pretty standard team, right? Like, but his whole team's like he's much weaker to Charge Bug with the Metacham. He's weaker to Annihilate, right? Like his only true Annihilate counter is Gligar. And like he's already weak to it with the Metacham. I don't know. Like I was talking to someone about this too, and I'm not trying to give Axon a hard time, but I feel like he's already mechanically one and like skill wise one of the best players. Why run something so spicy and weird like that when you could just run like a standard team? Because EUIC the same thing. He brought Shadow Charizard and even Registeel.
Is it Axon the one who I think Axon who says he doesn't like Annihilate?
Well, yeah, he hasn't brought Annihilate in a single tournament actually, so he really doesn't like Annihilate because he didn't bring it for EUIC. I mean, yeah, the Annihilate mirror is weird, but like the Annihilate versus Metacham is even worse, right? Like you don't like Annihilate, but you're gonna, I don't know. I mean, I really want to see Axon do well, right? He's such a great guy. He's making all this content stuff as well now, and like I mean, same thing, right? You can say the same thing. Like, why am I running all this like RPS stuff when I could just run a more like better team? And Pocket actually posted about that when on his like thread when his NAIC post, and he said like I was trying to make certain things work, like Bastion and like random other stuff, but like Serperior before he even became good, or Diggsby, I guess was the weird thing for him for Pittsburgh. But he's like, I just like we're trying to find the next big thing when like he could just play better with like a good meta team, right? Or, I mean, he had a good meta read in general. But I don't know. I think Doombug was trying to do something similar. And I was telling my friends, I was like, don't bring Poliwrath. That thing is trash, right? At LA, right? Obviously, it's probably slightly better in the meta without Spark Lantern, but you're still weaker to Charge Bug than Annihilate is. Annihilate is still around. But he ran, I don't know how his games look, but he ran Poliwrath. He ran He ran the same exact team as Axon, except he ran a Polyrath. I'm telling you just run a Nihilip, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Rise Occasion, same thing. He ran a Polyrath. He ran a Whimsicott though instead. He ran Charger Bug. He ran double electric, right? He ran that Charger Bug water gun.
Do you know what though? I can to give him credit with like the Polyrath and like the Whimsicott and stuff like that. It's like, you have to make a meta read, right? And thinking that there would be a lot more water types is not a bad meta read to make.
No, I think Rise's team makes more sense because his was like actually very, very different than the meta. Like whereas Dune and Axon, theirs was like the meta team but with a worse fighter. Whereas Rise like actually brought a bunch of commanders. But Whimsicott, I almost ran Whimsicott myself until I started losing against a Vigoroth. I double baited with Seed Bomb and still barely won it, right? With 2 shields up, right? I got the shields for a bolt. I was like, what? Like I can't even be a Vigoroth with a fairy? Like this is so weird. But and that was my other theory with Rise. So he's a good player. And my theory, I mean, I don't know if Rise can listen to this, but is every tournament he won with something weird, like something different, right? Milwaukee, he ran like with the Obstagoon when people weren't running Obstagoon much. And then Knoxville, he ran last year. What did he run Knoxville? He ran the Powder Snow, Alone Ninetales, which no one, Shadow Alone, no one really ran.
Oh no, this is not last year.
No. Yeah. And then the only other one he won was LA, right? Where he ran that triple dark Umbreon with the blue stuff and everything. So I feel like I don't know if it's like if it's on Rice's conscience or maybe just he prefers to play it, but I feel like part of him maybe thinks I succeed when I make like an anti-meta read and bring something unique. Which, to be fair, that is how he succeeded. But I also wonder if players like Rise and like Accent, if they just play like a pure meta team, they're good, right? Because they run some weird stuff.
But
I mean,
I also
Arrow
think
too, but that's like his thing, right?
Yeah. I also think there's something to be said for higher level players who do know how to like do those meta reads, who really like take their time with that, and who also have a lot of experience trying something new or something that they're familiar with that not necessarily everybody is, because I think that's also like a skill set of a higher level player. Is being able to make those slightly off picks work. So I don't know. I can't speak to why they're actually doing it, but that's kind of my interpretation when I see higher level players able to succeed with things that are not regularly seen. And it also goes back to, I mean, we were just talking about with Worlds how it's kind of more exciting to see a lot more people qualifying from a broader play set than last year. You have way more people who are getting out there, who are doing these things, who are earning that qualification. And I think that this is a sign of like a healthy meta, is where you can experiment. You can try try these things that people might not be thinking about anymore. And in some ways, a lot of these higher level players that already did qualify for Worlds, might be experimenting for what is going to be the meta there, and how can I upset that.
Yeah, and to be fair to them too, this is like a first time. This is literally the first tournament after the meta, and the meta literally changed like 4 days ago, right? So like, it could be maybe people expecting more Typhlosion, because I was expecting my whole team. My original team was 6 times through Typhlosion. I didn't have Bastion team. I literally threw on Bastion because Typhlosion and Skarmory started becoming problems. I literally was like, how the heck did people beat Skarmory without Lantern, right? Because it has plenty of planes to Charge Bug, and then even if I bring Charge Bug, I'm getting cooked by Typhlosion. So then that's why someone convinced me to bring Bastion back, right? I wasn't even planning on bringing it for this one.
All right, so there was...
Yeah, how many Typhlosion were there? Yeah,
give me the numbers. 8 Typhlosions.
8 out of 320 players?
Total?
Yeah, okay, one. Okay, this one's a buy, so this one's a no.
You said there was going to be like 3 or something in top cut.
The closest was Poly.
Yeah, and I don't think he did that well. Wait, how do you know?
Okay,
who was the best performing?
There was one no-show, so yeah, Poly was the best performing.
Poly was the best performing?
Yeah.
What was his record at NAIC?
He went 3-2.
Yeah. Funny enough, he faced four fire types on the win.
Yeah. There was only.
But it's like Martel too, right? He brought the Shadow Charizard. I feel like Shadow Charizard just not the play, right?
I don't think Shadow Charizard necessarily. Yeah.
No,
there's still too much water in this meta. Like I know that a lot of people were excited that Scald did get nerfed a bit, and the debuff chance was not as high. But you're still not going to stop Like all the water types from coming in, like Feraligatr got buffed way too well last season, and now like Typhlosion, like the fire types just can't, like they still, even if you stack the rest of your team, you know, Typhlosion's just too glassy.
Yeah. Okay, so I get what you're saying too, Kaz, about like experience and stuff, and I think it's the first tournament after. What are your predictions on these same players? I'm gonna, at Worlds, I'm gonna look at the teams of Rise, Axon, and Doombug right away, and I'm curious if they go way safer for Worlds, right? Because you can say like, NAIC, like I'm sure they all want to win it, right? But like at the end of the day, like Worlds is what they're really playing for. Do they go risky there, or they go more safe?
No, I think you go more safe.
Because with Dodge last year, NAC won with a really wild team, right? Like Tactical, like all like Quagsire and stuff. Before you had Aquatail, all this random stuff, and then he went a very meta safe team for Worlds, and he still did well there too, right? But like the only person that brought a really weird team at Worlds that I recall was Rubik's Master, which again, Rubik's Master also one of those players that like he experiments like every time. Like I was talking to D, but he brought a Runorigus to a local, right? And like what does that even be? I don't even know, right? Like I think a Palisand might be even better, but like part of it is his success is also built on. He's arguably the one person that I would say that successfully brings really anti-meta teams and does actually well with it.
Yeah.
But
I think generally
his sample size is a little bit smaller, but
people go safer at Worlds.
Yeah.
You want to have reliable consistency. And it's great to see a lot of experimentation at these tournaments, even the bigger ones like NAIC and any of the ICs. But yeah, at Worlds, I think you're definitely going back to what you're most familiar with. And some people do like running spicy things, and like Rubik's Master, like you mentioned, and they'll play to that. But I definitely think that you want to go with what you are most reliable with as a player when you're making that team.
Yeah. Okay, I have to mention that Inadequate's also probably up there with Rubik's Master in terms of like success with Spice.
However, no. Rubik's Master's consistency is like no hate on Inadequates, but it's pretty different. Like Rubik's Master's gone to 4 tournaments. He got second, 9th, and 2nd. That's crazy, right? like no. Like I'm not saying like Inadequates misses more than he swings. No one hits as high of a consistent rate as Rubik's Master does, right?
Yeah,
that's nuts, right? And he runs weird stuff at all of these.
I don't know. I mean, Inadequate's pretty regularly top cuts as well.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Just not like this, right? This man's average finish is like 3rd, right? Like it's crazy.
But in terms of the bringing these like slightly off meta Pokemon, there's one thing I feel like. I think there's 2 things. Like one, I kind of agree with you, Kaz, where it's like the last tournament before Worlds, and it's like probably your last opportunity to try out stuff in the meta that Worlds is going to be in, isn't it? Yeah. And I think that's important to do, because if every top player plays it safe, then ultimately either one, you're going to get beat by the player who is willing to try something different, or 2, it just always becomes neutral matches, and then it's just a case of gameplay. But you're not going to stop people from trying out different things. So sometimes you might be doing yourself a disservice if you're perhaps sticking to the same 6 that most people are bringing. But also there's also the potential to discover certain Pokemon or like certain strategies that may have not been explored before. And I think Shadow Magnezone is probably the best example of this, because a player like Paula, she's not like you're saying with these other players, she's good enough where she can use a completely standard team, and still do very well with it. There's no need for her to be running a Shadow Magnezone, but she did, and it's a hit, you know what I mean?
Shadow Magnezone, I feel like actually has a lot of play, though, is the thing.
Yeah, but this is the thing, innit? Like, how are you going to know this, unless someone went and tried it beforehand? Because honestly, for sure. If she
that's
didn't,
why I'm not giving them as much grief, because like it's like 4 days after the meta dropped, right?
Yeah, and I think generally
is still pretty wild to me though, but
yeah. But I think you know what, if you're not going to try it out, you're not going to know in it. Yeah. And I think for Worlds, I reckon that actually, I think you don't play it safe because I think the issue you have with Worlds is, first of all, you've got players, or not that you don't play it safe, but you don't play it just like completely standard 6, because you're going up against people from different regions. They all have their different metas, and your standard 6 is not necessarily going to
was the meta that different at Worlds last year, though, from the top performing players? I roast you about this. Like, even Scaffold ran a really meta team, right? And he was the best EU player. Like, I feel like most of the World teams last year's, the top finishers, besides Roostmaster, were all pretty standard too. You know, you got your Steel, your Mud Boy, your Flyer.
I mean, I don't remember any.
Let's see.
Anything like bonkers.
Rubik's,
you know?
I feel like
the main thing was like the most standout one for sure.
The main thing was Altaria, it seems. I don't know if Altaria particularly. No, that was pretty common, I think. Yeah. I don't think it was pretty common before Worlds.
No, but that was the adjustment everyone made after NAIC because Charizard was so around, right? Like I think like all the good players are on the same meta read there, which was the correct call.
But I don't know, with a
Look, I just want people to succeed, right? I'm not saying like some of these Worlds players are all listening to this podcast, but like I was telling all my friends, like, don't run Poliwrath. That's so troll, right? And funny enough, there's Shadow Quagsire and Fralgator in the meta, and like he walls off both, but I mean, it's just so hard to pilot with everything else.
But I mean, sometimes if you build up familiarity with something like that, you can learn to make it succeed where otherwise, people cannot. And there is something to be said of having a pretty standard team and then one thing that is a surprise. True. Really to just to throw people off. Because again, those high level players, I mean, they have a lot of experience. They know how to play their team. So of course they can pick something safe and then have something fun that they know how to use. They know how to make it work. Even against, standard safe teams across the board.
I mean, that match champ did throw me off, but I asked Ivy Pips.
It's working already.
I mean, I didn't even bring it to Ivy Pips' team, so I don't know how much he actually used it in reality. But it's tough, right? Elite as well, right? Like he didn't make it. Dude, Zimmy Kid with that freaking Surfetch is crazy. He beat Elite twice.
Yeah.
So
he brings it right? every time.
He brings it every time. Well, no, he told me that he was thinking about not bringing it for Worlds because he qualified Worlds and like he wants to take it seriously. And I asked him after that tournament, I was like, "Cause he top cut with it at NAIC and beat Elite twice, right?" I was just like, "Are you gonna bring it for Worlds?" He's like, "I'm bringing it for Worlds for sure now." I was like, "Okay, so
because why wouldn't you?"
It's so bad. It's so bad. But I don't know.
But it's not a good Pokemon. It's not a good Pokemon, but he makes it work.
Dude, or he's playing like Elche and just playing 5 Pokemon. I don't know. I mean,
do you know what?
I mean, in a Zero meta, maybe it's a little bit better actually in this current meta. I don't know. But I'm looking at
look, everything has its like.
I'm looking at Elite's team. I don't know how he lost
benefits in it. Yeah. Look, he's got Leaf Blade, Brave Bird. Yeah, so he knows he can get a shield at most. Do you know what I mean? Innit? Yeah. If you're not necessarily trying to play a head-to-head matchup,
like if you say swap it and they come in Gligar, you get outpaced.
No, you can. I feel like you can beat a Gligar though. If you
they outpace you. They outpace you.
But if you're
airways. Well, you do have to give up
a Brave Bird. Are you threatening a knockout?
Yeah,
but you don't get to Brave Bird before they get to the airways. Right?
You have to give up a shield, right? And you hope that you can get one in return.
But isn't that just like Poliwrath? Like they shield and then they just come out with more energy and you're still down to shield. Or you're still on even shields, right?
Maybe. But then you know what?
Ask him if he actually used it or not, but
I guess it depends. I mean, it depends on a lot of contexts. Like what was the Pokemon that they swapped out of? Do they have any energy? What is the backline? Like, I mean, there's just something to be said for being able to make something work. And certainly sometimes it might seem like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Like I always think it's crazy to give up 2 shields early, but I see top level players, even at NAIC, doing it all the time.
This weekend.
Yeah.
True.
like playing that aggressively is wild to me, but they know how to manipulate it, right? With either energy management or like timing, something like that.
Yeah. What was the 60
Yeah, there was one example. I think it was either Elam or Auburn, and I can't remember which match it was, but they went and double shielded their Annihilate in the lead to like take out a Whiscash.
I think it was Elam, yeah.
Was it Elam? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that Annihilate
was crazy.
had literally it was free. It had it did just from that, it did so much work. I was like, bruv, that is mad. Because you know what? Sometimes I will use Annihilate in not strictly that way, but I'm more like, I'll bring it into most teams because I'm like, you know what? It might not be a good head-to-head matchup, but I know later on in the game I can get either a shield or energy advantage. And like, you know, Cresselias are no problem, Azumarils are no problem. So you can like deal with most things in it, yeah. But I'd never imagine using it like that, yeah. And it was insane. It was absolutely mad. Because I guess, you know what, if the opponent hasn't got like a proper hard check, like maybe a Mandibuzz or something like that, then pretty good strategy.
Yeah, I mean you're placing a bet, right? Like you're using your shields early and counting on that energy to serve you against a backline. And certainly there's always a possibility that they have a really hard answer, like
but most teams don't even have Annihilate resist.
Exactly.
Like in that way, do you know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's usually just Gligar and that's it, but they don't resist the moves. Yeah.
It's a meta read and it's a team read, and sometimes, you know, that's the skill level that some of these people were playing at. And yeah, I remember watching that match and just being like, I would never. But
I would never bring Surf Edge, but if Zimikit does it, dude, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I heard too. I was like, how did Elite lose to Zimikit, right? No hate on Zimikit, but Elite's like, I mean, we talked about it. He's like one of the best players in the world, right? And not even that. Zimikit's running a Surf Edge, right? Like he's already at a disadvantage and he's playing against, like he's already handicapped right then and there. And I heard apparently Elite like made a misswap or something, and like Zimikit had a Wigglytuff like just straight up charm down his Guzzlord, right? And came out with like a million energy.
Oh, was that on stream?
No, it wasn't on stream. None of their battles on stream. Yeah.
Okay.
But so that was the first time round. But then I'm watching, then I'm just like refreshing the bracket, and I was like, wait, the second time they played, he 2-0'd him. He did even better. So I don't know what happened there, but you know, props to Zimikit for making that work. Outside of that though, what were the matchups you were like most hyped to see on stream? Personally, dude, Shiny Dialga's run was kind of nuts. I know, you know, he's a homie on working on Dracovish stuff.
This guy,
I know the Dracovish data came up real quick this time around too. I was like, he wants his data on that website nice and early.
Bro, as soon as he was like NAIC data up, I was like,
yeah,
is Bologna even up? Yeah, this guy was on it.
No, because day one. I remember him telling me, he's like, yeah, my bracket run was pretty easy outside of, who did he lose to on day one? He lost to, in the winners finals, he lost to Pocket. Yeah, in the winners finals.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said like after that, he had like a pretty roughly easy run, right? And he was like, yeah, I don't know, like I qualified for Worlds by then, so he's like, yeah, I'll probably get eliminated right off the bat in day two because like, you know, I had an easy run. I didn't really maybe face some like big names. But then he just killed it. Day two too. In Adequance's team, he was scrimming against T-Wastel because T-Wastel's like the only person that had a Giratina Origin. And he went 1-5 against him. And the one game he won, he like got like 4 free mud shots or something because T-Wastel was just lagging. And I was just like, oh man, this guy's got no shot, right? But here, you could borrow my jersey in case you make out stream later. And he just kept going. He was so on. His match versus House Stark was crazy. Like the way he played that, he was like, I lost my voice. That's where I lost my voice.
That match specifically.
Well, that match and the Auburn matches too for a while because Auburn needed
to be honest, even
a top
16
finish.
And I feel like if there were no like gaming consistencies, I feel like it could have been in his favor. It could have equally been in Elam's favor as well. But I feel like there was a bit more
slowed
room
the
to
momentum
play,
a little bit, right?
Yeah. Because that was a bit annoying at certain points.
Yeah.
Not saying Elam didn't deserve it, but it was just like super close games on both sides.
Even the game he lost, the third game he lost to Elam too. It was just like, I don't know if you could play that any better. That's just like a bad, like tough line call, you know. But super impressive stuff. And then the Brazilians, man, play.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, it was honestly for me, it was really exciting to see Ashton Ash like go on the run that he did.
And then he 3-0'd Steiner. Like, that's not an easy person to 3-0.
No, yeah. And it was crazy because I mean, we were talking earlier about how there was a Mexico City
qualifier,
special event,
qualifier
that he top cut in.
So I thought he did, and it turns out he didn't.
So he's never top cut before this.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Never.
And he got second.
Even
I think
better.
It was just,
nuts.
I think I saw him because he was on the championship points leaderboard, and I didn't recognize his name. So
well, he wasn't that high up until now.
I think he qualified before NAIC.
So that to me is just like, it's really exciting to see someone unexpected like rise through the bracket, and especially because he made it all the way to the winners finals,
and he brought to game 5 against Pocket too, which I didn't
exactly,
think that was
and then had to win the losers finals to do it again,
Because if I had to bet on it, I was like, Steiner's going to take this, right? Like, he just had I forgot who Steiner lost to. Oh, he lost to Pocket earlier on day 2. I was like, man, Steiner's got the skills to potentially just go straight to reset the bracket in the grand finals, but he couldn't even get past Ashton Ash, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, so I mean, seeing someone unexpected, rise through the bracket like that is always a thrill, and I think that's good for both seasoned players and new players that might be watching this for the first time. Just to see it can be done. It can be done, and just his team. I think like him bringing the Mantine is really unexpected in a Charger Bug meta.
Yeah.
So seeing him actually like really succeed with it and play really well with it, I think was also really fun.
Yeah. No, it was. I remember when Auburn was about to face him, I was like, oh, like easy cops for Auburn, right? Like Ashton Ash has maybe a top cut. Like maybe he got like lucky on these matches, but no, he played like even the third game, I thought Auburn had it, and Ashton Ash just like he's just finding win cons where I just like don't even see it coming, which is absolutely nuts to me. I remember I was talking to like some guys from 7-Eleven. I was like, hey, are they like they pay attention to Ashton Ash, right? They're going to definitely pick him up for 7-Eleven after this one, right? Because I'm sure they're going to try to get him on the official team, especially because he's already in Mexico too.
It was really funny because I mean Auburn, and they emphasize this in the stream too, like he's obviously, and him really well, like he's a very technical player.
Yeah.
He is a very strong, calculating player that I think always starts out like and plays pretty conservatively at first. Like he is rarely the first one to shield.
Right.
And he saves a lot of energy and shields for the end of the game, right? He's calculating everything early on. But the fact that like Ashton Ash, those matches like forced him to start, like you see him getting more and more aggressive with each game, of those 3 games that they played. And it's like the fact that this guy could force such a well-known player like that to play slightly differently than they normally do was also incredible.
Yeah. No, for real. It was I don't know. Ash was something else. Definitely someone to look out for at Worlds. Like I was like and he was like a really humble guy too, right? I wasn't like doubting him about that. I was just like there's not enough data points on him, right? I remember I commentated his match where like I watched it backstage at Sacramento was his first tournament. And I remember like saying, and he just missed out on top cut there. He got 9th. And then, just less under a season, he already made grand finals too, which is absolutely crazy. Yeah. But and then of course Pocket just put on a show. What's so funny about Pocket's team? This is the second back-to-back NAIC champion we've had that has won it all with a Shadow Quagsire. Like, what are the odds of that? I think that's and Corselia too. Actually, Corselia was on Dodge's team, but
his plays. Yeah, his team was good, and he was also just, I don't know, he was like playing out of his mind, like in those finals, like just his reads every single time. I was just like, how do you keep knowing exactly how to adjust? That's always the hardest part.
The Quagsire versus Mantine matchup didn't even look that bad for the Quagsire. I was like, it's like so uncomfortable for the Mantine.
No, too. He made it look easy, and I feel like it's never that easy when I'm playing.
No, really good meta read from Out of Pocket as well. I thought it was funny. He was facing my local 8th the Great in the winners finals on day 1. It's funny because Pocket's been running Bastion on for the past 2 tournaments, and all of a sudden he's facing one. 8th the Great almost won it too. I was on news, my local. I was like, dude, like you could have been the only person to take out Pocket this whole tournament. You almost did it. He's like, yeah, I misplayed a little bit, but
he was the only other person to take a game off him, isn't it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from Ashton Ash.
No way. What? He went just 2?
Yeah, because before,
that's
he had
actually
only
crazy. Oh, it was in semifinals. It wasn't even the winners finals. It was the winners semifinals.
Yeah.
That's so nutty. That's an
Well, you know what?
incredible
I think
run.
Pocket
Yeah,
was
because
the best
before the
person to use.
Yeah, he 2-0'd
Like,
everyone. Holy,
yeah,
what a
yeah,
yeah. I
he
crazy
reckon
only
Pocket
he
was
yeah, he
like
only dropped that
so.
one game before all the
the
winners
winners
finals.
finals, yeah, and then he just goes 3-0 in grand finals. That's nuts. I can't imagine just
So
winning at that
wild.
high of a rate. I mean, I've done okay at tournaments, but I've never I'm like barely getting by with 2-1s and stuff, and like,
Yeah, it's a mad win rate.
man's not
Yeah.
stressed. But yeah, really good meta read from him too. His team's like a little bit soft to Skarmory. Like you have the Gligar and the Crest that are both walled by it, and Vigoroth doesn't do great into it, and Quagsire is kind of weird into it too, but he found a way to dance around Skarmory, which is pretty impressive.
How many
But I'm
Skarmories
just
did he play?
how many Skarmories were
I'm
even
looking at the
at
top 8. There's actually
NAIC?
no
Because I
Skarmory.
feel like Skarmory, like, again, so many water types, Charge-a-Bug everywhere. You know, it's not really a good day for Skarmory when there's not really much grass in the meta. You have some Cresselias, you still have a lot of Lickitung, but those matchups are still fairly close. Like, I just don't think it's a Skarmory meta right
It's
now.
the Shadow Typhlosion effect. Everyone's scared of that Typhlosion. I mean, I was like, hey, no way I'm going to lose that Typhlosion at NAIC and just go straight to losers.
To be fair, you'd expect more Skarmory because you'd be expecting less Lantern. But I think you're right in terms of the increase of like water types. That puts that's a bit of a negative for Skarmory. And then the same, like you had a lot less Cress versus Licky, and what was the one reason?
I wonder,
like there was a specific reason for. Licky
I wonder
coming
if
back,
maybe more people thought there'd be less Skarmory, so people didn't. Or sorry, I think people thought there might be less Gligar because they thought everyone's going to want Water Gun Lantern and Azumarill.
Right.
So there's less reason to bring Skarmory because that's your main matchup you really try and lock into, so the Gligar, right? So I'm like, well, I'm not going to really. I don't expect too much Gligar, so it's not really worth bringing Skarmory because I'm just like not that much better into Water Gun Lantern and still kind of neutral in the Azumarill. I don't know. That's just my thought. I don't know. Clearly my team building skills were pretty trash, so that's just my thought on what the top players were doing. But definitely,
I believe the word is inflexible.
Inflexibly trash too. But yeah, I was like, Mana Bus is so neutral, right? And I'm like, oh crap, it's like the worst time to bring it into all the Azumarill and stuff that I see on every team.
Yeah.
But I team read every team perfectly. I was just like, I just don't think I could win. Like after the first minute, I already knew. But yeah, Charge-Bug on top 8 teams, pretty nutty. All 8s, and then we had 3 Vigoroth actually out of the top 8, which is still kind
I feel like
That's
Vigoroth
actually
though is
kind of-
like
it's kind of wild. Like it's just it's so hit or miss, you know.
It is, yeah.
I mean, you feel like everyone is still bringing Licky all the time, and Vigoroth is one of the best counters for that. So, and obviously it has a lot of flexibility, right, with the body slam access and counter and the still fairly recent access to Rock Slide. Like it's just such a neutral Pokemon, but again, it can get into terrible situations.
Yeah. No, it really can't.
Yeah, I think you'll always get Vigoroth like sneaking into high placements because it really is good against everything. Shit. Aside from the Annihilate, innit? But like I think when you look at some of these teams with the Vigoroth on it, it's like Mandibuzz, Gligar. In my opinion, that's enough to dissuade Annihilate. Also, Harjeff's had the same thing, and like Azumarill as well, and that's like enough to dissuade the Annihilate. Pockets one, personally, a bit less good at dissuading the Annihilate because I'm not gonna lie, I probably would bring Annihilate into that team.
Yeah, it actually doesn't look too bad.
Yeah,
that's a Gligar, right?
Yeah, like the Gligar's really the only thing there, isn't it? So, but in terms of like Steinar and Harjeff's team, I feel like
very strong.
Those were pretty fair. Zweilous, I don't know, man.
That team is all over the place. I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm
not sure. Zweilous' team is pretty good. It's 5 times strong into Annihilate.
But the thing is, like, it's more like, would you bring the Annihilate though? And I feel like you could bring the Annihilate.
It could. It has something to hit back at a lot of things. Yeah, it's not like a Manibuzz wall, right?
Yeah, exactly. Freezing Sun maybe a bit more so. Like
Freezing Sun seems wild too.
That, like Wigglytuff. Yeah, and the
looks like an Adequan's team.
Yeah, it really does, to be honest. Yeah, feel like there might be.
See, the difference is in Anicor's brought the Polyrath. I'm telling you, Polyrath ain't it. He did do pretty good with it, but Polyrath didn't break top 24.
Yeah, and then Javier's team, I'm not gonna lie, man. I literally told him before. I don't know how many Annihilates he did face, but I would also bring Annihilate into that line.
Javier's team?
Nearly every time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly, you're really just mostly scared about the Sable, and you have so much to play into
and
it
even
still.
that, like, if you got some energy, like...
I don't remember how he got knocked out, but...
I think it was the first match against Harjeff, so...
okay.
I guess not really against an Annihilate team, but...
yeah. But yeah, what a crazy run. Congrats to Paka as well for grabbing that title. We might have to make a new tier list after this one. But we'll see.
Yeah. Do you know what, though? That said... obviously we're now done with events, and it's time for there's like a couple months until Worlds, in it. So I feel like there's space for quite a few of these things. Like I know I've got a couple ideas of like dashing a few up on Dracoviz, so I feel like we should also do some as well.
I was gonna I have some ideas too as we have some downtime, but I think there's some,
because there's no more, there's nothing else that's gonna affect the decision until Worlds happens, So
I'm really excited for July though, when locals come back, because that's when people start testing stuff. Like
yeah.
Cool. I think also a lot of the meta is going to shift a little bit because Guja's now like actually probably meta relevant. Thunderpunch are going to really push Skarmory even further out of the meta, I think. On the Guja.
Yeah.
But I think it could easily be arguably the best dragon by far.
Mad? Okay.
That's my prediction, at least. I don't know. I know I was a Guja hater, but with Thunder Punch, I think it's actually so we'll see.
I mean, I've always liked it, so I hope. Yeah, I'm excited to try it out.
I liked it in GBL. It felt great in GBL, but again, like when they come in Skarmory, like it's just like you can't really do anything to even try to flip switch. But my personal favorite moment as we're wrapping this up was when Magic Mason went for the peekaboo play against Harjeff. I get what he's thinking though, because I talked to him after too. He knew that was gonna be a Gligar in the back, and like down a shield, like that was gonna be a hard matchup against Gligar for Guzzler anyway. So he wanted to like match the energy as soon as possible. But like Harjeff's reaction was so funny, right? He was just like, "What are you doing?" Right?
Man.
Those.
I mean. I also get it as well, because it was like he was already at 100 energy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Harjeff, man. Do you think he's not going to wait for that Volt Switch to come through?
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair,
he's going to go for the optimization. Yeah.
He did go for the bubble anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
that was peak.
It was pretty funny content. I will give it that. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But I was gonna say, so regarding to this, right? Going into day 2, out of my Airbnb, it was just a deep that made it, right? So that night, Tiwa was like looking to the schedule. He said, "Hey, there's so this is what I'm saying, but for like we're talking about double Elim stuff. Maybe have the good side events or challenge the cups. It could be good. But ICs and Worlds, dude, the side events are." I was gonna say peak, but you would say peak is bad, right? I always get that confused.
Yeah,
peak is a bad thing. Okay, well, it's very shallow, right? Let's put it that way, right? But the events, so they had like side events and all these side events tickets. There's one specific one that was a switch. Every game I go VG TCG, I think they all have one where you can win a switch. The winner gets a switch.
Wait, did they have this at UIC? Because I'm gonna be pissed.
Probably. I don't know, but I mean, probably. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Well, I was playing day 2, that's why. But yeah, but you could have done it. But so we look at it and we look at schedule, and it was called the Switch Series, and it was Summer Cup. We had to show 6 Summer Cup, right? So GBL, but like Summer Cup. So we're like, wow, we should just do it. Why not? Right? We got nothing better to do, right? It's at 10 a.m. And they had a little cup show 6 as well at 9. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do them back to back, right? I'm bringing the Shuckle, the Smeargle, the Meryl, everything, right? I'm gonna just stomp on these little kids, right? I built a new Annihilate just for that one, like a 500 CP one. It's pretty good
for the little cup.
For the little cup, yeah, it's good into Smeargle and Shuckle in case I face like a real true like little cup fanatic. And so get this, I show up at 9 a.m., right? I was a little late. You had to check in like 8:50 or something. So I missed the little cup. But turns out it was old little cup rules, right? It could only be things that evolve. So like it was the only good thing was bronze rules. I was like, I'm kind of glad I missed out on it.
Well, is Meryl not?
No, because Azurill evolves into.
Oh, you have to use
Azurill. Yeah, you can't use Meryl. Yeah. So I look and there's like maybe like 20 something people playing this little cup. Great, like show 6, right? I was like, wow, there's a lot of people. And me and my other Airbnb like mates are at the Pokemon Center, so just get out. It's like, hey, is this still registration up? I was like, yeah, just sign up as soon as you can. Meet here. And I'm checking the registration on Arcanine. 7 people. I was like, what? It was 5 of us from our Airbnb plus Dino from BTW podcast and some other guy. Rage Face was actually the person that Shiny Dialga beat in the losers finals day 1. But BTW Dino was like, man, I thought I was going to be the only one here. I was like, oh, you ain't going to get a Switch that quickly. But I show up, I legit was like, it's called the Switch series. It was like, maybe it's not a Switch. So I asked the judge, and the judge was like, yeah, the winner gets a Switch. And like, there's a bunch of other prizes too. I was like, what? That's crazy. It was supposed to be a 2-day event. It was supposed to be unlimited people can play day 1. Top 8 from day 1 come back day 2 and Sunday to play it out for more prizes. But because there's only 7 of us, they just did it all on that Saturday, right?
Oh my god!
Literally only 7 of us. It's all our Airbnb people, right? I'm playing T-Wa Cell again, right? I'm like, I can't avoid this guy, right? And honestly, I should have lost, but he he kind of threw by not shielding. My Toxapex almost beat his Jellicent the 0 shields, but he yeah, I know his Toxapex is crazy. But I barely eked out a win there. Anyway, so we played 3 rounds. The format was to play 3 round Swiss, and because there's 7 of us, only top 4 make it top cut. And the person that goes undefeated in 3 round Swiss automatically gets a top cut. Everyone else has to play single elim to figure out the remaining 3. But so out of the 3 Swiss rounds, you get prize wall tickets right then and there for just participating, right? And like 60 is like the minimum for like top 8, and all of us were there or something like that. So I got 260 prize wall tickets right then and there.
How much what does that get you, for example?
Dude, a lot of stuff, right? I ended up just getting 2 like giant sleeping plushies of a Pikachu and Charmander, and then I spent the remaining.
Wait, those
60.
are usually worth a lot, though, isn't it?
Yeah, probably more than the $20 I used to enter. And then I got 6 booster packs, right? But you get a lot with it, and I kid you not, the side event prizes were crazy, especially ICs. They had these these boxes, these tin boxes or whatever, or pack boxes that were from 4 years ago. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just like extra merchandise that TPCI still held on to and just never got rid of. All the TCG people recognized how valuable that was, and they were just grabbing all these. One of those boxes, you probably spend like 50 tickets for a box, I think, right? And I had 260, right? So I didn't know any better. So I got plushies. But the boxes, one of those boxes, $700 on the market right now. $700, because they don't make any of those cards. They don't make any of those cards anymore. $700. I guarantee you, if you wait 5 years, those will be worth $1,000 plus probably. Think about that. Okay, so
you're not allowed to play side events anymore until you have like legal assistance.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, yeah. I missed out on probably like $1,000. Yeah. But like no. But this is what I'm telling people, dude. Don't stress about needing Swiss. Even you know why? Because I talked to a TCG person at the airport, and he said. We had cut it out. Why? So that people don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I want it. I want it.
He's qualified for Worlds. He's gonna go 0-2. He's gonna just farm side events. Right? He's like, I'll play Little Cup. I'll play Catch Cup. I'll play Evo Cup. I'll play it all.
There was ever reason to play Little Cup.
I know. No. So this is why I say like I don't think Swiss will really change things, especially at like maybe at regionals, sure, but at ICs, I talked to a TCG guy. He's like. Yeah, I went 1-3 and dropped because after that I just farmed side events the whole time. I got all these cards and stuff, and like his whole trip paid for itself and then some, right? And it's fun too. You still get to play, right? You're not getting championship points either way. If you're playing Swiss, who's going to sit around for 7 hours more of Swiss in the loser side with the 2 chance when you could just play these side events all day, right? Because
you know what my biggest issue is?
Friday, Saturday, and
Sunday. Stream.
So
I'm sitting there like a mug watching the stream. And like...
So what we'll do is we'll play and then we'll pull up the stream in between, right? But that's why some people there weren't barely anyone in the audience at times because we play side events. But
I need to do this more next season.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
Next season you could do at Worlds. You don't make a deep Worlds.
Yeah, of course I'm gonna do it at Worlds.
You think cool? You think the side events are good at ICs? I guarantee it's better at Worlds.
I don't want to keep on divulging, bro. I don't want to keep on.
Yeah, you don't want people to know, right? You don't want people to know.
I'm not gonna carry on with this.
You're spectating Worlds. You better don't even spectate. Don't even spectate the Worlds. You better sign up. But it's so.
I know what I need to do here.
It's so stupid. So I just go 3-0. I get all that. And then top 4, right? So I'm already qualified top 4. Top 4, every person top 4 gets 1 free spectator pass for Worlds as a minimum. Second place gets like a $60 Pokemon like bag, whoever, right? It was like a small backpack or something. First place gets a whole Nintendo Switch, brand new. right? And so I make the top cut and I face Paulie round 1, and then I threw both my games, so he ended up. I was kind of pissed. I was like, man, I literally, I'm losing my friends for a Switch. I already have a Switch though. He doesn't have one, so it's fine. And then he faces T-Wa Stell in the finals, and part of me was thinking, you know what? Maybe it's better I lost, because if I beat Paulie and lost to T-Wa Stell yet again in another tournament, and this time I lost a whole Nintendo Switch. I don't know if I could survive. I'm about to quit the game. You can be if you want, right?
It's over. It's over.
It's like Scar took out Mufasa. I'm fine. I'm letting go off the cliff myself, right? Like, just, you don't need to claw me. I'm gone, right? I can't handle this. But so T-Wa Stell plays Paulie in that finals, and then Paulie managed to win, so he wins the Switch, which good for him because he doesn't have one already. And then he was calling, like he's talking to his son about it, right? I was like, oh, so you gonna keep it, right? He's like, I don't know, like I might sell it or something. I was like, or get rid of it. I was like, dude, if my dad came home with a Switch, I'd be heated, right? He doesn't know what a Switch is. It's fine, right? Like, he don't know. I was like, how does he not know just because you don't have one? Like, he has friends, right? There's no way. He's like, I talked to him on the phone, like he didn't seem to know or care about it. And then he later messaged it after he got home. He's like, actually, no. Turned out he was just playing it cool. He definitely knew what it was because he asked about it right I was like, yeah. I was like, you better not give that away, right? I'd be pissed, right? Like, Cole, brand new Switches gave away. But I mean, that still goes for like 300 on the market right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
300. Dude, I could just exchange for the box of cards and gotten 2 Switches off of that one thing.
You took the biggest L of the weekend, man. I'm
not just me. Everyone, everyone in my group, because I got 260, they got like 130 or something, and like 100 something. So they still could got boxes too. To be fair, I don't know. The box of cards might have been gone already. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, it was Saturday morning, so probably not.
Do you know what? I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, what?
I've never even bothered learning anything about TCG anywhere. But I think now's the time, man.
Yeah, the market.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Well, now I know. I'm definitely looking out for it, right?
Do you know what I mean, bro?
Like at IC Worlds, the value of that's why, like I say, like if you have box of cards, just hold on to it if you're not like dying to open it, because the value only goes up. You will see me in
all the TCG influencer YouTube things. Yeah, you'll see me in the comments. Yeah, like, I'll be there.
Well, because the thing is, I wouldn't have even recognized that's the old box, right? I wouldn't even know the value.
Yeah, exactly.
But TPCI is not going to mark up the value of it at an event because they don't care. They're selling at the same rate, right?
Yeah, I like I have a decent collection of cards. I feel like, I mean, not, but they don't mean anything. Because like I'm just looking at them purely as like, I like this art. I think it's cute. Like I have absolutely zero knowledge about like what's good and what's not, let alone like how to actually play with it.
But forget playing with it. Just the money.
Just hold on to it. Yeah.
That's all we're interested in.
I have a bunch in my closet.
Seal it away.
It's in the dark too, so the sun doesn't damage it. Like, it's just like, I'm just gonna sell that for like,
wait 20 years.
I don't know how much.
But I don't know. I have the cards. Like, my parents gave me the cards sleeves full of like all the cards I got when I was a kid. Like, because my brother
valued them.
They're not worth anything.
They're not mint condition.
No. Well, it's not even the mint condition. They're not like the first editions or whatever. Like I tried looking it up, and like mine are like printed late enough that they're not very valuable. But they still are fun to look at. And like my brother, he's so different from me. He didn't want any of the old like video game stuff or whatever. So now my parents all just give it to me. So I still have like a decent collection, but it's like, it's just kind of sitting there. But maybe in 20 years.
Maybe. Or even 10 years.
Unrelated, but I just sent you a picture, Caleb, so I guess you can send it to Kaz. So basically this, is a little display that this VGC player, Gio, he recently got his first regional win, and he got this display made, bruv. When I say, nothing has motivated me more to try and win a championship than this, bruv. Oh my days.
Wow.
I don't even care about the stuff that Pokemon give you.
Put it on the YouTube
this
version
is insane.
That is actually nuts.
So wait, this person won VG?
So he won the VG.
They got all the cards.
Yeah, he went and bought his team.
Dope.
So sick. It's so sick.
Dude, I need to do something like that. I thought you get to pick
which art. Nah, you get to pick which art you want as well, obviously, innit? Yeah. So like, imagine
you're
looking
frame
through
for
all
that
the
though.
So he got it like professionally framed. Yeah,
it's custom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my days.
And those cards might not even be worth a lot, but it's fine though. It looks
exactly, man.
So
like You know what?
Oh
Nothing
my God.
Pokemon can actually give you,
Yeah.
is better than that, man. That is insane.
That is pretty dope. I need to do that too.
Yeah, dash it on the video for people to see in it. Yeah.
No, I may put it
honestly,
up there,
if you lot weren't even thinking about competing before, oh my days, when you see this,
Dude.
I tell
That's
you.
I'll wake up to that and
so
look at it
cool.
every
In the
day.
scrims.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
And be like, this is what it's all for.
Yeah. I already got the ego, so this only matches it even more.
You know what it's like? It's like the equivalent of like
Screw
getting
the
a hit
best,
record.
yeah, I don't care
like...
what side it, right? I'll throw a full 6 meta Pokemon. I just want that setup.
Bro, for real.
So cool.
That's
man.
I can't. Yeah, that's such a cool idea too. I saw
Actually,
it, but I
so
thought they
sick.
were TCG player. But now that I think about it, especially I'm looking at Pokemon. Yeah, it makes sense with VG. Wow. And those cards probably don't even go for a lot unless you have a super expensive one. You could just go to the vendor,
kind of cool.
just buy one, right, for like $10 or whatever at a lot of these regional sets.
And he's actually chosen a lot of Japanese versions as well, which is even cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because of that artwork, you gotta get it.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
Oh, it looks so
That's
cool.
nuts.
Wow.
Well, anyway, so like I said, look, you could even if they have Swiss, dude, the side events is where it's at, man. Like I ain't trying to hate on Swiss, but like if I'm in Swiss, I'm down 1-2. I'm out of there, right? I'm gonna try to get myself.
Let me just say, it's where it was at.
You just gotta try and focus on the whole experience, like the whole of the experience, not just like the tournament. Because as much as you might be like a competitive person, and obviously everybody wants to do well, like you can't like force that to happen. So you got to just try and make the whole experience like worth it for you. And for some people that might even involve like making a bigger trip out of it. Like especially we talk about more and more people traveling internationally to these events, you know, there's a whole experience like outside as well. So you just got to do whatever you have to make the whole of the experience worth it for you. It's not just about the one competition.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my friends were asking me too at the Airbnb. They're like, "Caleb, what was your favorite event this year?" Right? And obviously, I worked a few as well. But the ones I'm working, I'm literally working. I don't have as much time to hang out with people because I'm like,
you don't really get to see the people.
Yeah, you don't get to see it, and sometimes you're just so tired, you just don't want. You just want to go home and like crash and stuff. But I was just thinking, I was like, I mean, I guess second place in like Portland at Top Cut UIC, but like honestly, NAIC was more fun than anything else. Right? I'm like with a bunch of friends in the same Airbnb, and like, I went straight up 1-2, but like it was still a lot of fun cheering for my friends in the crowds, right? And then the side event was fun too. Like we all had a blast there. Yeah, it was just like I think there's just a lot more to the game than just winning. As someone that's won a decent amount, there's a lot more to the game than just winning. And just because you win doesn't mean you always have the best of times, right? Or getting more reps. So I think that's at least for me, but obviously everyone plays for different reasons and stuff. But I think there's something to be said about that too. But yeah, I mean, Anicor, you better be farming those events. So here's the thing, right? That Switch thing, it was the only Switch event, and the other events, I'm talking to my teammate Rockhaven, right? He comes to the seeded area, the spectator area, like after Auburn's eliminated, right? We're like at the top 4 already, right? At this point, he's like, "Hey guys, like I missed all the action. What's going on?" I was like, "What do you mean? What's going on? Where you been at?" Right? He's like, "I've been grinding side events the whole day." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "How many tickets do you have?" He's like, "Oh, I have like 700 something, whatever." He ended up with like I think he ended up with like 1,080. He just played all these Great League tournaments, these like catch cup stuff. He got the Mimikyu skateboard.
Okay, how much is that worth?
Let's get down to business. In real money, like
in real money.
I think it's like 1,000 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you can buy it. Pokemon skateboard. Let me just see.
No, those aren't like those are.
Oh no, they're not that worth. They're worth 250. But sometimes you can't buy it.
Not bad.
Yeah,
but sometimes you literally can't buy it even at the Pokemon Center. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But I mean, if he's looking for, I don't know if he's just a collector himself though, or like what. But
let's see, eBay sold items.
Yeah, but I mean, it ain't worth the TCG cards. I don't know if he's listening or if he cares for it. But like, man, you should just bought the card packs, right, with 1,080. But it was funny because I asked him, I was like, how many? And they had draft tournaments too. They have draft tournaments aside. Right. So a lot of cool, fun of tournaments. And I asked him, I was like, how many people were at these tournaments? And he's like, oh, there's like 40-something people at the Great League one, like 50-something people at the I was like, what? I was like, why were there only 7 people at the Summer Cup one, right? For a Switch. He's like, there was one for a Switch. He's like, is there more? I was like, no, that's it. And so they
People saw Summer Cup and they were like,
I didn't have to.
Yeah,
I don't think they knew what Switch Series meant either, right? I think that's another problem.
True that.
But I don't get it. How are there like 20-something people at a Little Cup and only 7 at a Summer Cup? Like, there's no way you enjoy these
I can see that though. I'm not gonna lie. I can see.
And the Little Cup one was an hour earlier. People woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning to play this Little Cup tournament. I don't understand.
Their Little Cup.
That's wild to me.
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, if there was ever a subscriber only episode,
this is the one.
This is the one, man.
Patreon only. Yeah, so you could get the specific.
We're giving off too many tips.
Yeah. Let's go straight into T topic too, because we're running pretty long on time here. We have there's a small event paired with a Madrid event, but it's just some random spawns. Nothing crazy. Just
shiny debut of Crabrawler.
Yeah, Crabrawler, but that's about
weird
it.
name as well. Who's Spelunker?
Spelunker's Clove. I don't know. It just seems like Cove is like some pirate ocean thing. I feel like I don't know. Spelunking is like cave climbing, right? Or cave exploring. I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I think you explore caves with it. Anyway, nothing crazy with that, but there is a wild shuckle too, which I'll be hunting for because if I have to make another shuckle for a Little Cup, I will. But I need the XLs. Anyway, got
Rhyhorn for Master League, Chinchu. Great League.
Nothing wild.
Maril.
There's Carbink in the wild.
Yeah. I feel like Carbink at this point everyone has.
And Jangmo in Research Toss. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it could be okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so let's talk about the T too. Let's make it a little bit on the short end because we're going long. But SS Thorn posted a tweet. He said, I'm currently in a very stressful situation regarding my Worlds qualification. I appeared on the leaderboard with 487 championship points, 13 short qualified, but there's also one of the events I attended are missing. He has such a screenshot too of the event finish. And he got first. It was a cup, so he got 50 points right off that, right? Or even if he is almost maxed out cups, he probably improves his points there. Adding on to this, I'm not the only one affected by it. A fellow Ontario local Magmar man also might miss out on his invite because of this. And he said, dreamed of qualifying for Worlds, and I'm crushing might be fading away. Tomorrow's the cutoff for qualification points. I'm hoping to find someone who can help. And he posted this yesterday. So today, as we're recording this, Tuesday, the June 11th is the last day. So by the time this episode comes out, hopefully it's resolved for him. But either way, I think there'll be a result. I don't know. Honestly, TP's might be able to retroactively grant him stuff. It's not
I feel like that's the case.
I mean, it's not like it's a system they set up, right? But if it's an error on the organizer, I don't know, is it cut
and
off?
It's not like there's no. It's not like there's no proof either.
Exactly,
time, date, and
they actually have. He has a screenshot of the whole board, right? Which thank God he did that, right? And then they can see if he's already capped on cup points on his profile. He'll know that he's not.
Exactly.
And he's had multiple support tickets and stuff, and really hasn't gotten the assistance he's looking for. So that's a pretty wild situation. And I don't know, of course, this is a symptom of the championship points too, right? Where some stuff like this can happen. I know for one of my local events, I won first. I got first in the challenge, 15 points. They never updated it. This was back. This was the same weekend as the Charlotte Regional back in January. So that's how long ago it was. And I played it that Sunday because the event was still going on. I was watching the stream on the way there.
Is it the lack of action on the tournament organizers?
I called them twice already. Every time I call them, oh, sorry, we just going through some system updates. We'll have it to you
probably wait. So they admit that they didn't do it.
They didn't admit they didn't do it yet. They said they're going to do it. And I called them a second time. Same thing. Should I call them again today? Today's the last day. Because I don't want to I don't even need the points, right?
You don't need it.
I don't need the points, but it's just annoying that I paid money to do this. I won the thing, and it's not updated, right? It's and the problem is they haven't hosted a single tournament since then. There was a first tournament and their last tournament.
But
do you think they got their thing revoked or something? Because I've heard of some places.
I don't know, but it's just I assume they host Pokemon TCG as well. They shouldn't. They have to be more responsible if people are doing this, right? And I unfortunately didn't take a screenshot like SS Storm did. A picture, so I might not have as much proof. I don't want to report a card shop for this and get them in trouble when they just have to freaking upload the results, right? Part of me feels like they lost results and then just don't know what to put on there. But I'm just it's super frustrating for people. My situation does not even compare to their situation, right? Because they actually need the points. I don't actually need points, just a frustrating situation. But I think this is not a completely isolated incident that has probably happened in other places.
And I'm sure that there are lots of other people that probably see that and they're like, maybe I didn't get those. Maybe I should check. Because ultimately you are relying on people, the organizers, the store, whoever was working at the time, you're relying on them to like do something.
Yep.
And it's really frustrating that it's sometimes people are going to people, and they're not going to be as reliable as you hope. I do hope that it gets resolved for these two particular players today, since it seems imminent.
Yeah.
But I am also of the thought that it's probably possible for them to, still get that invite like retroactively, just because there is so much proof on their file. I have no way of knowing whether that's true, but I have to hope that that someone would be able to help them when there's just so much obvious examples of like they're not trying to BS you.
Yeah. Well, they've been trying for a while too, because I remember before NAIC, I was hosting the NAIC pre-show, and I was looking at the leaderboards. I was like picking out names that like people are about to qualify that have done well this season, like SS Thorn, right, or Magmar. Man, both of them actually at the same tournament, second and third place, and that are on the cusp. And I remember messaging SS Thorn. I was like, because he was registered for NAIC. I was like, hey, are you going to this, right? And you're just a few points of qualifying. He's like, actually, I'm not going to NAIC because I've already qualified. I'm just waiting for some points from my local shop. So that's why he chose not to go to NAIC, right? And it makes sense. Why spend all that money to go to NAIC when you're only a few points away? Like, he's not going to get a travel award and all likelihood unless he wins the whole thing anyway, right? And odds are slim. So save your money for that, because travel's not cheap, and you're going to get a qualification. So I know he's been working on this. I'm sure him and Magmar have been working on this for a while. I mean, we can see the date on this. This was... Oh, wait, no, there's no date on this. Well, I don't know when this happened.
On the screen,
on the screen cap it doesn't. But I don't know when. But it happened a while ago, I guess, right? So I don't know when it happened. But yeah, super super unfortunate for them, and I'm hoping.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like, if I think the championship point system is here to stay. And so certainly people are going to be working through this same system next season. It just goes to show, like, you got to stay on top of these things. Like, if you are determined to qualify within this system, like, it's good on them to have that screen cap, showing these results.
It's like having screen recordings for matches.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I didn't realize that this happened like at, I think LA was the first time I noticed it. But after you win a match at these tournaments now, they not only team check you, they check your recording. And I was like, thank God I remember to record, because
I got that loads. I always forget to record.
So what happened?
Bare warnings as well,
Oh, you got warnings for not recording?
Yeah, they're like, if you do that again, then we'll have to like...
Yeah, because what they do is they team check you, but they also watch your footage to make sure you're actually using the same. You can say like, oh, this is a team, but I use like a different moveset thing or whatever in here, right? So it makes sense.
I feel like my opponents are always really annoyed because like I'm not an iPhone user, and the tournaments are always iPhone, so I'm just like, oh my God, what button, where? And like I literally had to call a judge over almost every time. Like, how do I make the thing? Please help me.
I think at EUIC I actually lost the game where I would have won if it weren't for the lag, but I forgot to record. And I was like, and the thing is that like my opponent was like, because I know him as well, so he was like, I was like, at the last bit where I wasn't tapping, I was actually tapping. He was like, oh, I thought you just gave up the game. I was like, no, I was actually tapping in it. But then I couldn't prove it. And I was like, well, to be honest, I can't even claim this in it, because what am I going to say? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I feel like knowing Anicor at Worlds, he's going to purposely forget to record so he can play some side events sooner.
The new strategy.
Why would I bother? I'll just go to the side event straight.
Well, just so you get your competitive stuff,
World Schmord.
Yeah, get the Dracovic badge. But anyway, that was we're wishing SS Thorn and Magmar the best. Who definitely would love to see him at Worlds, and hopefully gets resolved. And and if it doesn't get resolved today, hopefully TPCI can go back and retro and do it. I can't speak on their behalf. I don't know anything on that.
Yeah,
but
I don't know, but I would really, really hope so for these players.
100%. But yeah, I mean that was the NAIC recap. It was a long episode, right? But it was good. Thank you so much, Kaz, for being a part of this as well and sharing some of your background too. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
have you
thanks
on.
so much for having me. This was a really fun discussion with y'all and a recap of it was long, but that's because that event is huge. It's massive.
Yeah.
So.
I was also yammering about my sad affairs of my losses there, but it's part of life,
your time travel of facing all the same people
my gosh.
in a different part of the country.
Dude, I was like, this is just like a comedy at this point, right? But losing is learning, right? And I didn't learn the first time when I lost or the second time, but maybe we'll figure it out for next time.
Third time's a charm.
So third time, I hope we don't have the face, right? Like I was like, let's not do this again, right? Funny enough, after LA, I knew that both Tiwasel and Adib were like within 100 points of qualifying, so they just needed to do like decently okay on day 1 to qualify. And I even said to them, I was like, if we match up at NAIC, I'm not throwing for you, right? People shouldn't in general, right? But even as their friend, they're qualified. I don't care, right? I didn't travel here for free, right? I came here to win as well or do well. I'm trying my hardest. If you beat me, you beat me, right? And but part of me is just joking. I'm like, what are the chances we actually face, right? And then when I saw that, I was like, wow, what are the chances?
You tempted the universe.
I did. But to be fair, they both were already qualified before I even faced them, so it wasn't even a big deal. Because with seeding, I knew that was probably not going to be the case anyway. So, but anyway, congrats to them for qualifying, and congrats to everyone for qualifying, as well as Out of Pocket for qualifying for winning it all at NAIC. But yeah, we'll see how it goes for Worlds. Looking forward to locals coming back too. I probably will try a Gudra of my own. Yo, I got a shiny rank 1 Gudra for Ultra League at the event.
Rev, I had flipping Sunny.
Wait, Sunny.
Sunny boosted the entire time.
Sorry,
Windy boosted.
I was like, Sunny boosted.
It was Windy boosted. Yeah, but bruv, you know what the worst part was?
It was Windy boosted here.
Really?
Okay, did you actually have wind? Because we didn't have wind. And I was like, you know what?
It's not even that windy in Atlanta,
fair
right?
enough, innit, yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that bad. I thought the weather would switch to sunny like halfway through.
No.
Nope.
We didn't even have any wind, bro. We just had loads of pollen.
Hey, you're gonna win that cap every time, Anicor, at Worlds with that Gudra. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
People wait for you to throw that resistant Aqua before they throw it.
It's true. Go for that surprise factor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I will say shout out to Niantic as well, because or TPCI or whoever that helped make this happen, because you know how usually at community days during the events all the PP spawns overtake it.
Wait, what do you mean?
At the So if they have
a competitive spawn.
Yeah. So if community days during that, it's still like a bunch of Carbink and Marrow and Vulpix, right? And Swablu. Well, Niantic turned it off. It was all good. And you know how you get the extra 100 dust for all catches at events?
No.
Triple dust on top of that.
Do you know,
it was 900 dust per catch of Gumi.
Bruv, look.
I remember at Orlando last season. Noibat was like that. At Orlando. Yes. It was so
nice.
Good.
No, but look,
and
you lot had that, and the only event that I went to, which was eligible for that, didn't have it.
You should have came to NAIC. Hey, next year, you plan ahead, make the trip to NAIC. We'll add you to Airbnb.
Come on.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time.
At least I know where it is, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it's going to be the same exact spot. Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be good, right?
I might try and run it. I'm not going to lie.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean,
if I get a good enough ticket, why not?
Yeah. No, for real. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Kaz. Where can people find you if they would like to see more of your contents?
I am on Twitter, which is also, I guess, sometimes called X, at the HurricaneKaz. So you can find me and whatever I'm up to there. And yeah, you can find me in the southeastern events because I usually will go to all the ones I can drive to. So
New Orleans next year too.
Yeah, New Orleans next year, hopefully, and places like Charlotte, Knoxville, Orlando. Like I'm usually trying to get to those tournaments as much as I feasibly can, and I look forward to meeting people at those tournaments. So please, yes, come up and say hi to me in Articuno.
Yeah, there's a chance you might meet a clown next year at NAIC too. So beyond the
gosh, I hope so.
You planning on dressing up as a clown?
Oh, me? No, that's your new role. You could be the biggest clown ASMR person in the world. You might have some fans.
Exactly.
Man took an L this weekend, and he thought, you know
got to
what,
start building the audience now.
Dude, don't even. No. Look, right? You know how many times Polly brought up the fact that he beat me and got a Switch? We were going through security at NAIC, and his thing beeped because he had a Nintendo Switch to it. He pulled it out, and he's like, yeah, it's beeping because yeah, I want to switch at the event. I beat this guy actually, right? I didn't hear it, so he said it literally again. Like, wait, let me say it louder so he hears it. Some random security guy doesn't give a crap, right? He's like, hey, I'm like, dude, this is a new level low, right? Where you got bragged to random strangers about this, right? I was like, the first dub he's had over me in years, right? And
he's got to milk it.
He does. He really does. Yeah. So good for him. But yeah, he can be bragging about that for a while.
I can't lie, I milk mine as well, innit? Yeah. My non-Pokemon friends don't really know what I do. Yeah, I'm like, force this geezer to go blonde.
Yeah, gotta milk what you can. That's the only cow Polly's gonna have for a couple of years, I think. But anyway, thanks for joining, Kaz, and thanks everyone for tuning in as always. We'll catch you on next week. We have some plans to do other content. Obviously, there won't be any championship series circuit stuff, but be on lookout. Maybe we'll come out with a new tier list. Who knows?
Yeah, man.
But we'll see how it goes. All right. Anyway, catch y'all later and have a good one. Peace.
Safe.